That one was spicy.
So the Warriors have to play 48 minutes.
So I see this going 7. I have it. I have the Nuggets in 7.
Ant-Man, Batman, Watchmen, Lakers at 5.
Well, it's money time now.
Hey, yo, YouTube, what's good? What's good? How y'all guys doing, man? Listen, man, it's always, to me, I come to learn over the weekend, man. I'm addicted to this talking basketball shit. I hope you guys had a good 4th of July weekend. But I come to learn I'm addicted to talking basketball, bro. So I say that, I started to say this, man. It's a privilege to come on YouTube and talk, man. I got critics. I ran into critics. Some people like my show, some people don't. Obviously we had one critic, Mr. Big Time FYF. He came on here. He had a conversation with me and JB last Thursday, and he came with me. I thought we had a good conversation at the end, and he gave us props at the end. But they went. He goes on his show and he called us out, man. So. Hey, look, it's part of the game, bro. Shout out, what is? How you doing, bro? Like I said, man, I'm just humble. It really is a privilege to just come on and talk basketball, man. I dreamed on this. Like I said, this could be anywhere from a hobby to something this big, man. And at the end of the day, like I said, I just want to start off with that. The subject tonight is, like I said, I actually thought up this subject like midnight this morning, and especially after going on Carcino. Actually, yeah, Carcino dropped his link, and I was on Carcino for Life, and he was reading out the New York Post power rankings, right? So, a lot of I do this show because a lot of the smoke from free agency has cleared. I mean, outside of Giannis possibly getting traded, and wherever Quentin Grimes might sign, and look, the buyout market, there ain't gonna be no big time needle movers, right? Ain't gonna be no big time. Ain't gonna be no too many more blockbusters. I heard Sham said something was coming that was gonna make. If that 17 deal, which KD, the KD and the Norman Powell and Duncan, right? Like that wound up being a 17. Like the deals kind of attached themselves to each other. So it's the first official 17 deal in NBA history. But it didn't work. Everybody was just pretty much moving money. And I want y'all to understand that's, from what I understand about the CBA and the cap and the capologists and the aprons and all that, that's gonna be how things go, right? You're gonna have two deals, and the deals are gonna attach each other so everybody can move around the money to make it work. You know what I'm saying? So anytime y'all dreaming on these super mega deals and this guy for that guy and all that, that's how it's gonna pretty much go down in the future, bro. Who that coming up? Who's that pulling up on the stream? JB, what's good, man?
What's up, Rob? What's up?
What's going on, man? Good. I'm glad you on here, man, because I told you what happened last night, man. We got called out. Our conversation, they said you didn't know nothing about the Jordan rules, and I might have oversimplified it by saying, "Oh, Jordan got knocked to the ground," or that. That they're gonna do. You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna play gotcha politics, right? They're gonna play gotcha politics. So they're gonna play one random game. Lamar think he's slick. Talk about I played a random game. You played the Jordan 18-point game where he took 8 shots. You took probably the worst game of Jordan's early playoff career, and you played that for everybody. And you thought you would catch dummies. I'm like, Lamar, bro, you cannot cap 10 times. You can't, don't cap. Just be like, you know what? I picked this game. Like, that's my thing. I picked this game because I saw that Jordan took 1 shot in the fourth quarter. What he did, and again, I give him props. He showed what the Pistons Jordan rules did. They made Jordan go left. They made him more of a passer and shooter than a basket attack, right? Again, that's what you was trying to get to, but he never let you speak. You understand what I'm saying? The Bernard King weapons. I want to clarify that, Woodage. But yeah, he never. And that's the thing, bro. Like, and I had to mute. I said, Lamont, I had to mute you the first time. You've been on my stream like 3 or 4 times now. You was on the stream with me and Zay after the finals. You know, and nobody ever mutes you. We let you go on your little big soliloquies and your little this, that, and the third. And I had to mute you just for him to let you explain. So again, I told him, like, my broadcast partner, boy, you're the one brought up the Jordan rules, right? How you said Isaiah and what's the name and Dumas and all them, they had to like confer on how we gonna stop Jordan because Jordan was such a force, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was so he, and again, yes, G24. Yeah, he had the 18 points with the 9 assists, and a lot of those assists was in the fourth quarter. So yes, they successfully made Jordan more of a passer than an attacker. And again, these are the same people they're going to use gotcha politics when Jordan only scored because he took so many shots. Well, you're going to bring up the game where the Jordan rules were successfully employed by the Detroit Pistons, and he only took 8 shots for the game. You know, 1 in the fourth quarter. He had 1 point off a free throw in the fourth quarter. I believe it was a technical free throw because Jordan made 10 of 11. I don't believe he went 1 of 2 in that fourth quarter. But that's how it is. And again, they sit there and they try to paint what we supposedly say. Because at one point did me or you say that the Jordan rules is about knocking Jordan to the ground every play? Did you say that?
Nope, I never mentioned anything about knocking them down.
Thank you. So that was me. Yeah, and that was me. You're right. And that was me. And I said,
but they
the
did
last
knock them down, though. See, that's the thing. When
exactly.
It came down to it, when all else failed, that's because even Dennis Rodman said the goal was ultimately to put his butt on the ground.
Keep that in mind. When all else fails, if he gets to so they wound up going through 3 playoff games, right, JB? They want to go. Salute to FYF. He already watching, but and I good. You went through 3 playoff games, and you saw basically we saw Jordan get to the basket one time. He got the shot off very quickly against Lambert. So right even then, the Jordan rules was definitely being employed well. And props to you, bro. You showed it was actually a pleasure, even though your sycophants was in there roasting me. As I say, I pull up, bro.
You know what?
I'll pull up. Go ahead, JB.
This is what's sad about this. First of all, this is 2025. This is 2025.
Yes.
We just saw a new NBA champion be crowned.
Uh-huh.
And cats rather use their platform, which is their choice. It's sad. It's sad. Yeah. They're going to talk about what a basketball player, their perception would happen back in 1988 game
89
5, where the Pistons would see what they won't mention is prior to the 86-87 season, when they drafted John Sally, when they drafted Dennis Rodman, and the year before they brought in Joe Dumars from McNeese State, Detroit was an offensive-oriented team.
Uh-huh.
So to begin their ascension to the top of the NBA mountain, or let's just say taking that next step to pursue a championship down the road or become a championship team, they changed their focus from offense to defense. Now, part of that was because of their rivalry with the Celtics, just like the same way the Bulls had to overcome the Pistons had to overcome the Celtics. See, they won't mention this though. Now, the thing is, they became one of the best defensive teams, arguably the greatest defensive team in league history, because of the fact they had to go up against this man in the playoffs for 3 straight years before the Bulls overtook them. What they won't mention is when the Bulls finally overcame the Pistons, it was no match from that point on. The Bulls was dominating them. Now, the Pistons would come up in there every now and then and get them during the regular season, but they never faced each other in the playoffs again. Now, what's unfortunate about this is that you got to do a 9-hour
9.5. Yo,
about a
FYF.
player
Listen, man. FYF. You can
that
talk for
a series
9.5
was
hours.
determined, and I guarantee you, every time Detroit beat the Bulls in the playoffs, I bet you they felt more confident going against anybody else that followed. I guarantee you. Guaranteed. That means even Showtime Lakers and the Portland Trailblazers. Once they beat the Bulls, they probably felt, man, shit, that was the ultimate test. Like Dennis Rodman said, going against Jordan is the ultimate test. So the thing is, man, at the end of the day, Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. And the reason why he's being attacked from all four corners of the world right now is because he set the ball so high that the guy that they want to overtake, he keeps falling short. Why don't they do a podcast while the Lakers got smashed in the first round by the Minnesota Timberwolves when the so-called experts predicted they was going to go to the finals after they got Luka? And Cass was saying that their defense was going to be better without Anthony Davis. Let's talk about the now. Or we could talk about last year when they got dead in a gentleman's sweep.
And I went, hold on, man, real quick.
That.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear me, JB?
No, I hear you.
Okay. Because they said we don't talk about the current league.
That's all.
Bro, me again, and he called out he called out me, Angry O Hoops, he called out all us dudes over here. We give LeBron his smoke. I don't look at myself as a LeBron hate channel. I look at myself as the true challenge, right? So 93 Zay, I'm like, bro, me and 93 Zay was doing, 93 Zay was doing live stream, and this was after he got I believe in the first round. That's when he got the copyright strike for playing a commercial. You know what I'm saying? And let's keep it real. I'm gonna tell it because I told Johnny when he came up here. Johnny had Mar up there, one of his mods on the thing, and I told Mar, yo, because I didn't want y'all like I don't got smoke for nobody like that. I told Mar, hey, turn your background music down, turn your background noise down, turn your TV down, because YouTube will copyright strike the channel because they hear a commercial playing in the background. So Zay put me on to that. We started when Zay got off of his band. He started right. We was in the second round doing. I believe we did a Boston Celtics game. If not, we probably did it in the conference finals. But that was before Johnny started doing live stream. So we were doing live streams on the game. You know what I'm saying? And I saw that I had a little bit of talent for calling what was going on. And it's a little hard because we all stream now, right? We all got the YouTube TV and everybody stream be at a different part. So you gotta, whoever's in first, you gotta get the lead. But we were doing it. We talk a lot about the current league.
Now, excuse me, Ro. Now, brother just said that we lie about Jordan. Why we gotta lie? What's there to lie about?
Thank you.
Okay, we know in 88, Pistons beat the Bulls in 5 games. Now, the Pistons' goal, because they had just lost to Boston the previous year in the Eastern Conference Finals when they really should have beat them. But Isaiah made that turnover in Game 5. Bird snatched their heart. And they weren't going to beat Boston on Game 7. So their goal was to overcome Boston or finally overtake Boston. The Bulls were beginning to take that next step. You got a rookie Pippen. He wasn't like the Pippen that we saw later down the road. You had a rookie Horace Grant. This is another thing too. Pippen was not the player who was originally brought in to be Jordan's number 2 player. That player was actually Brad Sellers.
Yep.
But Brad Sellers didn't work out. So therefore, that's why when Pippen, his rookie year, he's being brought off the bench. He didn't start right away. So that reality, it carried over to the postseason. So the only player that Detroit had to focus on was Jordan. And they said it multiple times. All we got to do, we take Jordan out, we know we got. So what I'm trying to say is, if Cats want to go way back 35 years ago when Ronald Reagan was president, and keep on talking about a basketball player who retired in 2003 and don't say nothing, I don't understand the fascination. At the end of the day, when Scotty matured, when I say mature, I ain't talking about dropping 25 or 30. I'm talking about playing his role as the number 2 guy on the team. When Horace Grant matured, right, and they elevate their game to finally beat the Pistons. At the end of the day, when he started going to the finals, you knew in your heart of hearts, wasn't nobody gonna beat him, dog. And I'm sitting here a Laker fan, and in Game 1 of the '91 finals, when Sam Perkins hit that 3-point shot, and then Jordan he took that attempted game-winning shot to rattle in and out, I was relieved. I was like, damn, we got one. And after that Game 2, they blew us out 107-86. I said, we in trouble, dog. I said, we in trouble. Because you see, he the type of individual, man, because everybody, see, the truth be told, the forces was trying to keep Jordan down from winning. When you really study his career, because wasn't no big time, wasn't no free agents going to the Bulls. It wasn't like Krause was like, man, I'm going to bring this guy. I'm going to bring this guy in. He had to 10 toes down, as they say, get it from the mud. So once he broke through, man, you knew all the struggle he went through. And you knew when he broke through that first time, it was a wrap. Nobody going to beat him 4 out of 7. You can hang it up. That's just the reality. Because his career, we don't have to inflate his championship record. It is what it is. So at the end of the day, man, like I say, we need to talk about what's going on now. And like Rose said, we've been talking about the importance of player development, astute drafting, holding your young talent in the highest esteem, being patient, carrying out a vision, instead of mortgaging all the way for a quick fix. And with this new CBA that's in town, rearing this ugly head, and she's real, teams now know they cannot manipulate the system like they used to. Or let me say, player empowerment. Let me put it that way. Those days are done.
No doubt, no doubt. Now look, we got a couple of Lamar sycophants up in here saying we lied. Because again, I even said this, man. Jay, you were the one that brought up the Jordan rule. And like I said, you were trying to explain what the Jordan rules were, and he kept, Lamar like he famously likes to do. Because look, I guess we are two brothers that love to hear ourselves talk. I like to talk. As I said, when I came on, I said it's a privilege to just come on YouTube and chat about basketball, man. That's pretty much the essence of this show. You know what I mean? As you see the title, we're gonna get into the title because according to Lamar, because again he caps, we do talk about the current basketball. We do. That's what we want to talk about. I don't want to go back and talk about Jordan from 35 years ago. Jordan's legacy. See, here's the thing with y'all don't realize. Every time y'all do a 9.5-hour live stream on Michael Jeffrey Jordan, y'all affirm his GOAT status, sir. Shout out to Hollywood Herm because he came on and said it. You guys called Jordan the GOAT just by talking about him 23 years after he made a bucket in his goddamn league. We don't have, bro, how many Hall of Fame careers have started and ended? Basically everybody LeBron came into the league with. Their careers started and ended in the time, like, now we were, basically, here's the thing though, Wendell. You guys basically got, everybody that came up obviously pulled up the Jordan was soft thing, right? So you got 9.5 hours, and trust me, because I was there for like 3 hours, bro. Man, I didn't even eat fucking dinner. I had to go to the chicken spot. Man, I ain't cook. I had to go to the chicken spot. It was the only thing open at 12 o'clock. I had to skip dinner being on Lamar's show yesterday. So y'all went 4 or 5 more hours after. I went on Carcino, was talking shit with Carcino and then with Knicks because as always, Carcino will talk about, he was trying to talk about the Spurs and, he was really, basically his show was my show, trying to talk about the moves that nobody else was hyping about out. And of course, 4 Knicks fans are going to pull up on the stream and we're going to talk about Knicks. So I went on there. I get off of that, Lamar's still talking. But hey, man, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is, man.
He was in
You know,
attack mode
that-
last night. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, he was attack mode again. We again, I don't even want to give it that much energy, but yeah, he came at us. The thing that, like, us supposedly lying about the Jordan rules again, we know what the Jordan rules was. And I said, Lamar, you are doing a good job of showing what the Jordan rules did to Jordan, making him go left, making him more of a passer than a shooter. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, look. See, this thing,
all
Rodney
the
Stuckey.
Jordan rules really did was made him more deadly. That's really what
Thank
it
you.
did.
Thank you. And even some of his sycophants agree and made him determine he got to be a better jump shooter. That was the only way he was going to ever beat those type of teams and those type of defenses.
And when you got a rivalry like that, both the Bulls, Jordan, the Bulls brought the best out of the Pistons. They don't become champions.
They all made each other better.
They don't become champions without having to go through Jordan. That's just me.
Because I had to remind them, this same Pistons team that y'all were trying to act like honestly, that the Pistons were LeBron's Boston Celtics, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. So Rodney Stuckey, you saying that the media lies and hoops hype Michael Jordan up. They never give these young players a chance. Whose fault is that? These young players are mixed. See, this is the fact that y'all keep talking about. Even Jordan himself don't want to be. You see Jordan hyping himself up? Do you see Jordan getting on what's the name to say, "Oh, look, I did this, I didn't know." He knows that his career is over. He knows that little 2 years that he wasn't even close to being Jordan. He just came in to lend his name to the league. This and the third, he played for no money. He donated all of his salary. He didn't need the money. He played to play. Thank you. Of course he was. Of course he was. But Jordan is not that self-aggrandizing. His career was essentially over in '98. You know what I'm saying? We went on all of the tangents. But as I said, bro, there are Hall of Fame careers that started and ended since Jordan scored a bucket. So to say, again, if you want to tell me that the media, maybe so. The fact of the matter is he is the standard. And I think one thing I always say is that players just have to represent the game the best way they can.
That's it.
And the story will tell itself.
That's it.
And I think, I'll be honest, because he was even showing the pregame, the way CBS was doing it, and then the way that NBC was doing it. And obviously, they knew that they had a money-maker in Michael Jordan, so they had to prop up the star. NBC did it too. But NBC had more than just Jordan games on. They had Sonics versus Nuggets games. They had Sonics versus Suns. With those, see, and that's why we're gonna segue into the preview, because I want to really, that's what I really want to talk about tonight. We're gonna segue into it
real quick. I wanted to
real quick. I know you only got a certain time. Yeah.
I wanted to address this notion about which era is more physical. And this is why I don't like to compare eras. Because if when we talk about basketball, I don't talk down on today's NBA. I see a lot of good things. The problem is, I think, now, I will agree, a lot of the former players who say, today's league is soft, they need to stop saying that. Because it is creating conflict between the different generations, the past players and the current players. Okay. I think we got to the point where a lot of these ex-players and these talking heads, they pretty much just said whatever their belief is, whether they're correct or incorrect. This is why when I say the talking head, I'm talking about these people with the major platform. People tune in and by the millions listen to them. This is why everybody needs to move forward. When you got people misrepresenting the past or whatnot, or it seems like the only reason that they talk about today's game is to try to prove it's better than yesterday's game. The game is the game. Yes. The game is the game. There's different interpretations of it. There's different styles of play. At the end of the day, the basic principle is the team that scores the most points and a team that keeps the other team from scoring the most points is going to win. Who puts the ball through the bucket is going to win. I think we need to get back to basics, Cause you got some people trying to micromanage and everything. Now, I will say these past couple of playoffs have been physical. We done seen dudes get they jaw busted, blood and stuff. Josh Hart had his head gashed. It's been physical. So I think that this is why the comparison of eras. But a lot of this is fueled in trying to bring down Jordan. And if somebody proven to be the standard, and if another guy I don't care who, it could be someone that I like, that's my favorite player. But the standard is the standard. It don't matter what era he played in. Like, if someone, when Michael Jordan retired in '93, his first retirement, and someone asked him, do you think someone will come along and be better than you? He said, sure, someone to come along and be better. I think Jordan, the type of person, if he honestly felt someone was better than him, he'll say it. He had his time. He did what he did. And he said they're going to have to put in the same work ethic, though, to be considered as such. But I'm very comfortable and secure in my career. That's why he retired at 30. Like, he had conquered all the challenges up until that point. So what I'm saying is, if the man is the standard, he is the standard. But you ain't got to bring, like Rose said, there's been so many great players that have followed him. They've had a career. You don't have to Jordan name, like, don't have to be like celebrated every single day. That man retired. But at the end of the day, all you gotta do is look at the footage. Listen to what people said about him during real time in the heat of the battle, instead of trying to revise history 30 years later. Because it's not gonna work. The history is always gonna stand. But the league could move to a very positive state if all the toxicity is removed and stop worried about who's the GOAT.
No doubt. And that's the thing, right?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I just want to be real quick, but I want to ask Darren, what made Kareem the standard? I'm just wondering.
Yeah. If you want, you can. What made him the standard? And again, like Kareem was. I guess that's three. I would say off the bat, and I'm not going to just give him his answer, but three levels. He was great. He was dominant. Again, I was asking them because they, obviously Mr. FYF, and a lot of them, they attack Hakeem Olajuwon a lot, right? And I asked B. Lee. I said, bro, B. Lee, you get on Hakeem Olajuwon for the 4 straight. It was 5 years where you didn't get out of the first round, right? And this is during the Sleepy Floyd. It was Sleepy Floyd, Rodney McCray years. And again, I'm not trying to shit on Sleepy Floyd and Rodney McCray, but that just wasn't enough. Those 3 were not enough to make long playoff run. Because when you look at the rest of the roster, sorry, it was average at best. Okay, cool. Then it was Otis Thorpe. They got Kenny Smith eventually. They got I'm not sure if that was a trade because Kenny Smith and Otis Thorpe come together. I remember they were with Sacramento at one point, right? I know Kenny Smith was drafted to the Kings, but they wound up getting Kenny Smith. And now those teams were a little bit better. See, look, we're gonna get into the GOAT debate because everybody wants to get in on that. But I was asking B. Lee, do you hold, because it was 4 years where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 70s didn't win a playoff series, right? It was 2 years when he missed the playoffs in a row. The last year with Milwaukee, the first year with the Lakers. I said, do you hold that against Kareem? He said, no. Then why are you holding this against Hakeem? You see what I'm saying? That when we get into this, that's why B. Lee don't make his top 10 list. And that's why I wouldn't respect it if it did, because you're already not being consistent on your criticism, right? Obviously, Kareem, that should define Kareem's career the same way the 5 years Hakeem never got out the first round. Because again, you're skipping over that in '86, Hakeem and Ralph Sampson went to the finals and lost to as you saw that I was arguing for last night, the '86 Celtics. And they were the only team to get 2 games off of the '86 Celtics in that playoffs, right? So you're skipping over the fact, like, you're gonna call Hakeem a loser. There was a lot of context in that. And at the end of the day, like I said, without any playoff success, if the Knicks had won in Game 6, and if they get knocked out so you don't have any rings, Hakeem Olajuwon is still one of the best defenders I've ever seen. I think he's the best defender I've ever seen. So, like, I think Russell is the greatest defensive weapon of all time. And I think as far as but I didn't see Russell in real time. I think Hakeem. See again, whether you were talking about Hakeem and not Kareem, it doesn't. Okay, we're talking about. I know what we're talking about. Okay, so did you tell me why Kareem is the standard? Because that's what we were asking. I mean, the name caller, you can call it, or you can call in and call it. You know, you can go. I could drop the link and you can call in. But we were asking you why Hakeem was the standard. I'm just saying when people make their top 10 list and they want to kill Hakeem for missing the play, for not getting out of the first round 5 straight years. Well, it was a 4-year period where Kareem didn't win a playoff series either. That's the context. And then when Magic got there, because it was 3 years where they only got to they didn't get to a finals, right? And they didn't get to the finals until Magic came, and that's when obviously we know he went to 9 finals. He went to 9 finals with Magic. Oh no, 8 finals with Magic. He went to 2 prior, I believe, 2 before Magic. So Magic got to 1 final without him. He went to 8 of his 10 finals with Magic. I think it's absolute idiocy to even say, oh, he only got to the finals with Magic. No, he got to the finals with another all-time great. And they did it in 8 times in 10 years, 11 years? You know what I'm saying? That's dominance. Okay, and look, we respect that. We respect that. Again, all I did was bring up the fact that in the 70s, because FYF's channel loved to say that Hakeem Olajuwon was overrated. They actually say it in the theme song, but they say because he didn't get out the first round for 5 straight years. I just said Kareem didn't win a playoff series for 4 straight years in the 70s. Again, it's just similar circumstances. And as I said, B. Lee being one of the hosts of Go James Kingdom, I just said that's a little bit of inconsistency. So look, I honestly, bro, if you see, I've done on CW, I've done your debates. I've only done 2 team debates. I haven't done any player. No, I did the player debate, Kobe versus Wilson, but I did that on Go James Kingdom channel, right? I did the Kobe versus LeBron on Go James Kingdom channel. And so I love team debates, and I'm gonna try to figure out how we perfect this team debate, because even A30, I think we did a decent job, but it's kind of harder to do a team debate than a player debate. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because you gotta,
it's a little
you gotta look at it. Yeah, and I think the 5-minute rounds is a little bit constricting, because you really got to get a lot of information about who the starters were, who the bench was.
Yeah, I'm thinking about you got stretching it to 7 minutes.
Yeah, especially
it's a lot to get in there.
Yeah, you got to
teams.
Yeah, so, but yeah, so we 30 minutes in. Let's segue over to the preview of the way too early preview. So, I mean, guys in the chat, I'm going to go down who I think is going to be 1 to 8 the playoff. And again, it's way too early. We're just thinking about, we're looking at the teams and how they've generally formed up. I'm gonna post this too. Hold on, for you guys. I'm not sure if this will be a hyperlink where you can post it, but then you could probably go on New York Post, because they did the power rankings, right? And I'm gonna see if I can. If you click that hyperlink, CW, can you share screen and because I know Casino went over it.
Or
because
he put it in the private chat.
Oh yeah, I put it in the private chat. So yeah, hold on one second. I always get crazy. I always get a little. Where's the private chat? Okay, there it is. I'm gonna put this in there, and if you guys want to pull it up and then come up with your own opinions, if y'all want to, man. Start linking, listing y'all 1 through 8. Who do y'all think is going to be 1 through 8? Based on, again, it's just, nobody's going to be wrong, bro. We in July, it's July the 8th, right? We got a whole all season to go. Summer League, you might have a Summer League star. It wind up becoming a starter somewhere. You never know, man. A lot of things got between here and there. Bronny's already looking good. I ain't gonna front. He was looking good in the one. I don't know. Did he play another game? You know, I'm always running come on, man. I'm always running to negative with these players. See again, like me mentioning somebody else saying a negative about a player, and then because I gave the same example with Kareem, I was really trying to catch B Lee. You understand what I'm saying? But you know, it is what it is. But if y'all want to start listing y'all 1 through 8 in East Conference, let me know. I'll actually start myself and I'll kind of run it down. So I'm gonna start in the East. And again, this is just don't don't be just think about what you think right now today, because obviously it could change, you know. But I'm gonna start right. So Knicks are my number 1, and then obviously I'm biased. Let me see. I think Orlando is number 2. I'm not gonna go chalk. I think Orlando's number 2. I think Detroit is number 4, right? And we're gonna get into we're gonna get into no, Detroit's number 3, Cleveland's number 4. All right, now after 4, I think it's gonna be a big drop off, right? I think Milwaukee by default will be number 5. So I think Cleveland probably wins about 53, 50. I think Cleveland will be another 53, 54 win team. I think Orlando and Detroit take major jumps. I think Detroit needs another jump shooter, but other than that, I think Orlando did a really good job in the offseason. I think the Knicks are the front runners. Cleveland, I think they're still going to be a great team, but I think it's going to be a culture issue there. They obviously lost a few pieces. They gained Lonzo Ball. That's a pretty good get. So I got Milwaukee. I got the Pacers having enough to get to a playoff spot. So that's the 6 without the play-in. I think the Celtics will be number 7, and they get there by way of the play-in. And number 8, I'm gonna think about that real quick. I think the AC is going to be. A lot of people like Atlanta. I think Atlanta's doo-doo. They got enough talent to get that AC. But I like a little. I think I'm gonna go with a dark horse. I'm gonna go with a team that nobody's thinking about right now. And the Nets are done. The Nets are just the Nets gonna be taken. Washington. I think Washington is gonna be improved because they got a lot of young players. They got Middleton who's gonna be in the mix unless they decide to buy him out. Middleton opted in for that last, but I don't think Washington gets in there. I think who else? So I think I'm gonna go with Chicago, man. I'm gonna shout out to my boy Woodard. I'm gonna go Chicago, getting that last spot. And I think Atlanta. I think they probably beat Atlanta. I think they knock Atlanta out, and I think Atlanta they'll get that 8th spot on the last day of the play-in. So that's I'm officially list my 8. If anybody else got it, what do you think? What do you think, JB? Are you still here?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Who do you say? Like, you only got to use list of, but who do you think is the 8, the front runners? Like, who do you think is the top 4? Because those are the front.
Probably, well, like I said,
oh yeah, 76ers. I'll tell you this: the 76ers got a good one. Yeah, you could go 1-4.
Man, the Sixers, man, I don't know y'all because
I don't trust Embiid, and I don't trust Maxey without Embiid. Now they got a good one in XCOM. I've already seen a little bit of XCOM. VJ XCOM, their rookie is serious.
We'll see. Embiid only playing limited games, man. It's not gonna happen. Paul George is, he podcasting now.
Yeah, you can't count on them too, and that's a lot of their money. That's a lot of their salary cap.
Yeah, so I think Philly, their best shot was in 21 when they had the number 1 seed when Ben Simmons was still playing good, and they lost to Atlanta. They lost 3 games, and I think they lost 3 home games. And they could have went to the conference finals. And I think that was their best shot. But
Yeah.
I say the Knicks, Cleveland, but Cleveland missing something. I think
Yeah.
I think a
Yeah,
lot of times it seems like Donovan Mitchell winds up having to like play a dual role, like playmaker and then the primary scorer, and I think that kind of hurts them for some reason. But then Orlando, and then like you said, by default, Milwaukee, Detroit, could make the playoffs again. And who else we talking about in the East? You said
got Chicago, Atlanta. You got Chicago,
Atlanta.
Atlanta, Philly.
And then,
obviously, the net again. I think the Nets are definitely tanking.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see if they get this guy from BYU or the other guy.
So I would say top four. Well, Indiana could still be a playoff team. They just, won't be as good as they were this year.
Mm-hmm.
They could still be a playoff team. Well, they lost. I don't know who they're going to have starting center. Maybe Thomas Bryant, maybe. But, I think they'll still be a playoff team. And then,
Indiana got Huff, and I believe Jock Landale went there too. So they got a good center. They probably got decent center rotation. They'll probably, try to Huff from Denver. I mean, from Memphis. I think he'll get because he's a stretch five. They got a lot of guys that can play. Yeah, and then Jock Landale is probably for the depth. But Toronto might make Toronto. Don't sleep on Toronto. I think Toronto. I think Toronto will be in the play-in myself too.
I think they'll make the playoff. I knew it was somebody out there I couldn't think, but that's Toronto.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about Toronto too, and I think Toronto might be a year away, but Toronto could take over Chicago and possibly the Celtics. Because the Celtics have got to have a bad offseason. Let's keep it real. They had to break the team up, and the players they bought to replace it are just. I mean, come on now. Now I know they got a good system in player development and all that, and they've turned a lot of ham and eggers into really good players. But there's a little. I mean, basically, Jaylen Brown and White are the two stars of the team. They said goodbye to Horford. Obviously, they cannot afford him. They can't afford to give him any contract, and so.
Yeah, but I say top 4 teams. Orlando gave. Matter of fact, when Cleveland started their tailspin at the end of the season, Orlando started that. When they went into Cleveland and beat them, they came back from like 16, 18 down, came back and beat them. And of course, I say the top 4 teams: Knicks, Cleveland, Orlando, and I'll say Milwaukee. I say Milwaukee.
Okay. Yeah. And I really think so. What I think is going to happen, I think the top 4 teams are going to be 50-win teams, but I think it's going to be a drop off. I think Milwaukee is just going to be very mid, but obviously because they still got Giannis, who is arguably the best player in the world, they're going to represent and win their 45 games. And I think, like I said, I think the Pacers Pacers are going to be represented. They're still going to score a lot of points, but losing with arguably their best 2 players in Turner and I still got Pascal Siakam, but that'll be but I still think Halliburton was a lot of the source that he was a lot of the source that made them go. I think the Celtics will fall off. I don't see either one of those teams as serious contenders. And like I said, the Chicagos, the Torontos, the Atlantas, Washington will give you a run for your money. They won't be so easy to beat this year. But I do believe that the Nets are definitely one of the worst teams in the league. Detroit makes a big step. Detroit and Orlando, those are 2 teams that were recent lottery guys. They make big steps. Cleveland, I believe, still going to be a good team, but I don't take Cleveland serious as a true contender. So I think the contender tier is Knicks, Orlando, Detroit. Now, I think so. The teams that I got in the West, because I started by saying I think it was 14 teams before free agency that could win it. Now that free agency has basically most of it, like 90, it's like 90% done right now. Like I'll say, you might see 10% of the moves, especially the significant moves, come after today. I think really the whole Western Conference playoffs will be not necessarily contenders, but I could see outside because a lot of like FYF will say I didn't, and it's funny because I was on his stream preaching about OKC when everybody was saying Lakers are 5. look, that's what kills me about you Laker fans and you LeBron fans and all that. Y'all could not see anybody beating y'all Lakers. And I could see everybody beating y'all. You know, JB, I was saying the Lakers were mid all season long. I looked at the numbers. I looked at y'all, like when they were playing the best defense since January 1st, like the number by numbers. I'm like, that's some bullshit. Y'all were beating on easy fucking competition. Y'all were getting away without fouls because, again, we all know that. Y'all foul people. Y'all were playing mid teams. Like, y'all didn't play OKC to the last week of the season. Y'all beat OKC when they pretty much took that game off because they couldn't win 70 games no more. And then everything clinched. And then the only thing they were playing for was to win 70 games, be the third team in NBA history to win 70 games. So when they had the 13th loss, the Lakers caught them the next day, and OKC came back and smacked them the next game after that. So I don't want, I've been saying, and now all of a sudden everybody knew about OKC. Stop it. Like I said, this is 10 toes down over here, man. Shout out to Tori B. La Toria. How you doing, babe? You know what I'm saying? So everybody, I got you, Buddha. I might, if you want, I'll drop the link, man. You know, you're my homie from Casinos. If you let me know when you get off of work, but no doubt.
And it's the thing, bro. When they start talking about, this is where you have to uphold not tradition, but the history of the game. Historically, a real championship contender, you can tell who's who with that point differential. Of most championship teams, when they win the bring home the trophy, the average point differential margin of victory is around 8 points. 8 points around that 8-point threshold. Like this, like the Bulls had a point differential, close to what I know it was double figures, and then 17 Warriors, they point difference was damn near like 13, 14. But around that 8 point per game mark, if your point differential is like +4, you ain't a real contender. That's gonna tell you pretty much when you get in the postseason what you're gonna do.
And remember, the Lakers were +1. Despite winning 51 games, the Lakers were +1 in point differentials. I was calling that. They were actually 10 games over 500 and were negative in point differential for a lot of the season. When they got Luka, that's when they got to the positive. And again, Luka was a good sugar rush. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're still in the East, guard. Chill out. We're gonna get into the top 8 in the West. We still talking about the East. I'm actually naming my top 8 right now, and you ain't gonna like it. You ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna name them. All right, so I'm formulating my top 8, my top 7 in the West, my top 8 in the West. But yeah, because honestly, the 8 in the West, I think the Western Conference is unfortunate. We lose Jason Tatum, Dame Lillard. And you talk about top 2, the best 5 teams lost one of their top 2 players. So Jason Tatum, Halliburton, and Lillard all lost, conceivably. I mean, Kyrie Irving got a better prognosis of coming back, and so Kyrie Irving got but again, the Clippers, Dallas, they signed D'Angelo Russell to hold down the fort. That was good get for them. You know what I'm saying? So, Charlotte. Funny with Charlotte, man. Charlotte got a good 2 players, and they got, obviously they'll get Brandon Miller back, right? So they got a good 3 players, but they always get hurt. D'Lo sucks, but D'Lo can hold it down. See, it's funny how D'Lo sucks. But y'all forget that D'Lo was the guy that turned around the Lakers 2 years ago when they got to the conference finals. Y'all forgot that. See, it's so funny, man, bro. Look, how about, LeBron over MJ? D'Lo sucks, but you don't give him credit for help turning them. And remember, JB, right? When they made that trade for Westbrook and they got D'Lo and they got Jared Vanderbilt as well, right? Remember, that trade was key. And they went on a big run when LeBron was out for that month. And by the time LeBron came back, I remember he came back against the Bulls. They played back-to-back games against the
Oh,
Bulls,
yeah, the Bulls
and they were
beat
already they were from the 11th seed after he passed Kareem, because he passed Kareem and then he went on a sabbatical, and they got better with D'Lo. So D'Lo sucks. Yeah, D'Lo is not a good defender. We understand that, but we know that D'Lo is a clutch shot maker in the second and third. And again, there's enough defense. D'Lo has to hold down the fort until Kyrie gets back, and that's the key. That's the key. That's why it was a good signing, and they didn't play it. They didn't get him. He's on board play. So is gonna have the Lakers. And again, for you LeBron fans, y'all not gonna like it. Y'all not gonna like my top 8. I'm not gonna like my top 8. So I'm but yeah. We'll get back to the East. Let's go because everybody wanting my Western Conference. So I'll just put it right here. So notice who's absent. Anybody knows who's absent?
Oh, you typed
And that's LeBron over MJ. Here's the thing. That's basically the whole Lakers team right now, and that's why the Lakers are not making the playoffs. I've been saying it since free agent started. Y'all got Jake LaRavia, and y'all lost the one good perimeter defender that y'all have in DFS going to Houston. So, OKC, Denver. See, the thing is with D'Lo being supposedly unplayable, here's the difference. In LA, y'all didn't have good rim protection. Y'all had good rim protection with AD. Guess what? He's reunited with AD in Dallas. They got Daniel Gafford. They got Lively. They got PJ Washington. They got Daniel Gafford and AD. Didn't they get another center in free agency? I'm trying to think. No, but I got Dallas.
Gafford,
You signed Gafford. They got AD.
And then they got
Derek Lively. So Derek Lively might make between him and Gafford, you got a good 4-5 rotation. So all of D'Lo's defensive mistakes will be held down. And again, you got Max Christie. Obviously, you got the rookie. I mean, I like Dallas definitely in the playoffs next year. Who knows how they'll use Cooper Flag? I think they should use Cooper Flag in a 6-man role, to be honest, because this team will be expected to do something. I think the Clippers got really good. I think Denver got really good. I think so Minnesota still needs to get a point guard, in my opinion. It looks like they're bringing everybody back. They're running it back. But I think they either need to develop with Dillingham or get if they could get a good veteran point guard. What if they get Westbrook? That's another. Westbrook is still out there. Just to be that guy off the bench. I think if Minnesota gets a point guard, they're definitely serious. Golden State will be there by default. Again, they too old. So I think they got 6 legit contenders there in out in the East. So I would say there's 4 contenders in the East and 6 contenders in the West. And the teams when I say contenders, I think teams that I could see actually going all the way. I think Golden State, if they develop some young wing talent, I think that's their main problem. And I got Portland. I like Portland, fellas, especially if they decide to keep Drew Holiday there. I think Portland is a team that a lot of teams don't want to see.
They won about 30. How many games they win this year? About 33.
30-something. They almost had a chance to make the play-in. They almost I think it was like the last week of the season. They finally got knocked out of the play-in. Minnesota. If you remember Minnesota, so I think Minnesota win. I think Minnesota will win 50 games next year. I think Golden State will win in the high 40s, and then I think Portland gets there with about 45. And I think Golden State will have to get there through the play-in. So I think the balance is in the West. I think the Knicks are as good as any team. I think potentially Orlando and Detroit can work it out. So they just got some things to iron out. But I think 4 to 5 best teams are definitely in the West. I think it's the Clippers, Houston, Denver, and OKC. I think Dallas, depending on if they get Kyrie back at any point, we'll get into that mix. Minnesota has to develop a point guard. And I think, Golden State, because obviously you got Dre, as long as Dre and them are still there, You know what I'm saying? But those are the teams that I think. Yes, I got Portland over LA. It's Rays Bay. Is it? Here's the thing. LeBron over MJ. Portland has defenders. Where's LA's defenders? Portland has Denny Osbija, the Israeli. Denny Osbija, one of the guys you don't talk about. Kamara, good rebounding power forward. These are guys that they are physical. I think they are where Detroit was maybe last year or maybe this year. I think they are definitely I think they could be this year's Detroit out in the West. That's my feeling. And I think Chauncey Billups is a great head coach. Not a good head coach. I think he's a great head coach.
If Chauncey Billups had been the Clippers head coach instead of Doc Rivers and Ty Lue, they would have made the finals. That's how good of a coach he is.
You see, they say we don't talk basketball, current basketball. You ever heard of a guy named Shaden Sharp, LeBron over MJ? You ever heard of that guy? Guess what? You're gonna hear about him next year. And losing on to the Hawks. That was a loss. But they still got Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels is another one of the great one-on-one defenders. But Shaden Sharp, he said nobody can score. Shaden Sharp can score. And I'm just saying, Denny Robinson, he's gonna take a step up. I like Denny Robinson for about 17 points a game, 9 rebounds. He's a good all-around player. They were actually comparing him a little bit to Luka during the 2000 draft. I don't know. Y'all hear me? Can you hear me, JB?
Oh yeah, I can hear your voice was fading out just a little bit there, but
okay. Yeah. My headset. I'm probably take that. I'm gonna take the earpiece out in a minute. But so yeah, they moved on from Simons. But Shaden Sharp, I'm telling you. You see how LeBron says you got hit your heart because I'm analyzing the players. Look, the Lakers got problems. They got good people. Yeah, great head coach. See, why can't I say that? Why can't I say that, Casual? All right, hold on one second. Let me change it up. Matter of fact, you hold it down. I'm gonna bounce out. All right, JB.
Okay.
All right.
But now, yeah, what's crazy is that the new CBA, better known as collective bargaining agreement. The popular word that we may tend to use is parity in the league. That's not what's happening. I don't believe parity. I don't think it's an issue of parity. Because we haven't had a repeat champion this decade. But the league just kind of wherever the league is at, the league is at. You had years where a team dominated, repeated or three-peated, or Bulls 2-3-peats, or Spurs won 5 titles doing a run with Tim Duncan or whatnot. But what the CBA is doing is flushing out. It's flushing out the manipulation and the nefarious activity that we have witnessed over this past decade, and it's hitting home in such a definitive way where it's really the best thing that Adam Silver has done is put this new CBA into effect. And what it's doing is really a benefit to the teams to save them from themselves. So now the basic principles of team building is being cultivated once again, where young talent is important in this league. And just like in any professional sports league, NFL, NHL, or not, baseball, you don't draft veterans to the league. You draft young men to the league. So over the past 15 years, that process and thinking was reversed, where they became expendable. And I think what happened was, when you do that, you don't see no real development of the young players. So you saw the results on the court, meaning that I think that led to a proliferation of a certain style of play, focusing, exclusively on shooting a high number of threes. But what's happening now, because of this new CBA and the importance of reestablishing position basketball, you see a lot of talented young centers in the league coming into the league. Shane Goons and people like that, Fritz Wagner in Orlando, or like a Jared Allen in Cleveland, or potentially a Zach Edey in Memphis, a Derek Lively in Dallas, of course Zubac for the Clippers, and DeAndre Ayton. I ain't gonna take nothing away from him. He can play, but Zubac showed who he was this past year. So what I'm saying is, I think the center position, when the center position is strong, I think that's when the NBA is at its best. When the center position is thriving, and when they're a focal point of the offense rather than just being a rim protector or a lob threat. Because if you hear anybody out there say, "Man, we need a rim protector, lob threat," it's not going to be good enough. Because now you got teams with. That's why Jokic should really go down in history, because I think his ability and performance as a player leading Denver to their first ever championship, it started the process of reestablishing that center position. So now you got Chet Holmgren and what's the boy's name?
Hartenstein.
Yeah, Hartenstein from New York. They brought him Hartenstein, Isaiah Hartenstein. So the center position, like that Southwest Division, in the Western Conference, every team got Yves Missi down in New Orleans. Every team in that division got a legitimate center who they may have just drafted, but they're going to develop. So I think because of the center position, it's creating an effect where the 3-point shot was not as quote unquote efficient this past season. Like you saw the 3-point percentage come down as far as overall the average shooting percentage of the 3-point shot. And I think everything is starting to become balanced out. And that's why when I look at a team like the Clippers, man, they gonna be kind of tough.
Clippers got really good.
They're gonna be tough.
Clippers got good. That John Collins, John Collins at the 4, yep.
Right.
Getting Kawhi back to his natural 3 position.
You see, they had Kawhi playing the 4, and when they played Denver, they couldn't match up with Aaron Gordon. That's why they lost the series. So
one thing about the Clippers, right? And because even as they get John Collins, he's only 27, 28 years old. They've done the super team route, but they have done player development. Remember, Zubac is only 26, 27, right?
Yeah, he's Zubac now.
Yeah. So you get Zubac, you get Brook Lopez as a backup, another look, a stretch 5.
They finna be tough.
Casual is a little, he ain't following you. But see, that's the thing, bro. Again, we 10 toes down over here. You might not see what we saying now, but in about 10 months, when we get to the season and we get to the playoffs, you're gonna start understanding what we were saying. Because a lot of the time, me and JB have been having conversations for years. We're not always right. Let's keep it real. We're not always right on everybody, but a lot of the times, you understand what I'm saying? A lot of the time, and again, you asked, was parity good for the league? Yes, parity is very good for the league. As I said, we sit here today, instead of thinking we could predict the finals, like as the set in stone, we had a situation when it was the same team was in the finals 4 straight years, right? Golden State versus Cleveland when LeBron was in Cleveland. Those days are over. I'm just letting y'all know those days are over. It's going to be a different team every year. OKC is and should be the odds-on favorite to repeat next year, but it's going to be very hard. Everybody, like, OKC is not a juggernaut where they've leaped over the league. I told y'all that about Boston all year. See, one thing on 10 toes down is King Speech said Boston ain't no juggernaut. I said it from the day one when they smacked my Knicks. I said them niggas ain't no juggernaut, and I said that the Knicks we'll beat them in the playoffs. I said, well, we got a good chance of beating the playoffs. When he got to the playoffs, even looking at the Knicks not playing their best basketball coming into the playoffs, I said we're gonna beat Detroit and we're gonna beat the Celtics. And I said, why are we gonna beat the Celtics? Y'all know it? Go to the channel. Go back and look at my Knicks Celtics preview right after we took care of Detroit. I said exactly why. Go ahead and watch. It's a 10, 15 minute watch. But I said why the Knicks were going to beat the Boston. So I said that Boston, and I'm going to say it again, OKC is the favorite. They should be the favorite like Boston should have been last year, right? But OKC is going to have a very tough time. I said it at the beginning of this decade. We're not going to have a back-to-back champion. I said it in 2021.
Yeah, you can see when the new decade hit, you can kind of see it.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't gonna roll like that.
This decade. Now you might have a team that wins 2 and 3 years, right? So OKC might get knocked off this year and come back and fix their, lick their wounds and fix their problems and win next year. Because that was the situation. Okay, you go back to the 70s, right? The Knicks won in 70 and 73. All right, let's go to the champions, right? Let's move real quick. The Knicks won in 70. Then Bucks won in 71 with Kareem. 72 was the Lakers, who I still think is one of the greatest teams of all time. That team that won 33 straight games. The Knicks came back and won in 73. Boston won in 74. Remember, Boston was a 68-win team that the 73 Knicks knocked off in the conference finals. So they came back and won with Hondo was still on the team, Dave Cowens, JoJo White, right? Then 75, who won in 75? That was the Warriors year, right? That was the Rick Barry year.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. Team Perfect got Nuggets in 5. Shout out to Travis. Tyler Travis. Good. Thank you for calling in. I know it's like what 4:50 in Hawaii. Right. So 75 was the Warriors. That was Rick Barry. Think about that now. When y'all gonna say the Knicks ain't won since 73, cool. The Warriors from 75, and I think they got to the conference finals in 76. From 76 until 2015. They didn't get to the conference finals. And obviously in 2015, they went from, they won the championship, but it was a 40-year drought for the Warriors. They didn't play a single conference finals in those 39 years between 76 and 2015 when Steph and them finally broke through with Steve Kerr and them, right? So in 77, 77 was Portland. That was the year of Bill Walton, right?
Oh, 77.
Yeah, 77 was Portland. 78 was Washington. No. Was 78 was Washington.
76 was Boston. And then 77
was Boston. And 77 was Portland. Washington. 78 was Washington. And 79 was the Sonics.
They came back and beat Washington.
Yeah, so you had 8 different champions and you had nobody went back to back. So I think this decade, that was the last true era of parity in the NBA, and now we're 50 years later, we're in an era of parity in the NBA to this decade. So that's just my theme, guys. I've been on this for a while. I'm a little bit low-key basketball historian. So I seen it where back then, for whatever reason, you had guys going to the ABA, right? The league had expanded. Actually, that showed you, like they always say the business was bad in the 70s, but you actually did have 2 leagues and they had to, neither one was doing great business, but they converged, the styles clash, styles meshed together, and you wind up having a good super league, right? Hey, cool. Hey, I'm a historian. You call it what you want. I'm a low-key amateur historian. I don't get paid for this, but I've always I'm one of these guys that look at history. So I just named off the top of my dome the 10 championships, the 10 champions from the 1970s. I've said it in 2020, the beginning of the 2021 season. I said the Lakers got no shot at repeating. And obviously they got knocked out in the first round. And then I said nobody's going to repeat in this decade, and I stand on it. If OKC goes and repeats next year, I salute. But I do believe OKC is going to be a fixture for the rest of the decade, and I think the Knicks and I think the Knicks will as well. I think Boston will get their shit back together. Obviously, when they get Tatum back, I think Minnesota will be good. I think the Lakers are done. The Lakers got a they don't have pieces to build around Luka, and Luka already sees that. So, JB, I saw you share that article with me about how Luka is no guarantee that Luka's going to want to go long term. And we saw the news today that Joker doesn't want to go long term with Denver. Obviously, Denver is going to be one of those front running teams. So we'll see how it goes. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
they had a great offseason. I mean, they
Denver had a really great offseason. The Lakers. Let's look at the losers. The losers in this offseason. See, for the fly like the Clippers, I actually got the Knicks over the Clippers in the finals. It's either Knicks over the Clippers or Knicks over the Denver Nuggets in the finals. That's my prediction. But the Clippers are winners. The Lakers, Pacers, Milwaukee Bucks, Boston are all losers this all season. Let's keep it real. Boston had to break up the team. We all know why. We all, obviously, it's not going to be a Boston. The good thing about Boston is they didn't hurt themselves long term. So OKC obviously just held the fort. The Knicks, I think, are winners because, again, with the EBT budget, you go out and get Jordan Clarkson, one of the best bench scorers in the league, and then you get Yabusele. Okay, JB. Okay, what's the question? Did you see who conducted this question? Pose it again because he might not have read it. I'm reading the chat. I don't know if he's I don't think he can read the chat unless I put it on the screen. So
Luka?
I think he asked was parody a bad thing?
Oh no, I mean, see if it's not manufactured. The thing is, competition is coming back. So you got a lot of teams. It was crazy. A lot of teams who have been down for a long time are back, like Detroit, or teams that hadn't never won a championship. They win it. So I'm tuning in. Like I said, I enjoyed this playoff, man. I ain't had no issues with it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Officiating was on point, and they did play physical. Because I think the commissioner did say, well, during the postseason, we will allow more physicality, and that's been the case for the past 2 years. So I don't have no issue. I don't have no issue as long as you get a real champion. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no complaint when it comes to that.
Hey, if you're around CW, can you put the link in the chat? Because I put it on my channel. When I post it, it goes to my channel. It doesn't go to GoCast Hoops. So I put the link in the chat. If anybody want to call in, man.
This is why the Lakers are in such a precarious situation. Now, even Phoenix, even though they crashed last year, which you saw it coming, they got some. They moved on. They traded Kevin Durant and whatnot, and they got some young players in return. They got some draft picks, right? So they're not going to be in the picture, but at least they got a opportunity to kind of restart things, right? Okay. What was crazy about what's going on with LAL? They keep trying to go win now mode.
No, that's not what I said.
And to do that,
okay.
Continue. It's like okay, you trade AD essentially, and your best perimeter defender, Max Christie, by the way, to get Luka. Okay, so you bring in Luka, which I don't have no issue with Luka because really he should still be a Dallas Maverick, but that's a whole nother story. So you bring him in, the talking heads gas the team up and say, "Oh man, they don't need AD, blase. Hayes can hold down the fort, but AD defense is gonna be just as strong." Because usually when you make a trade like that, the team is going to play at a high level for about two weeks, and then sugar high come down. And then when it's come money time, it was all too predictable. Minnesota had a better front court. They had a better front court.
Money time should be your catchphrase, JB, because I know that's
money time. That's all that matters.
But Casual got a question for you directly. So, because I don't want to, Go ahead, Casual.
No, I had asked, is it good? Do you believe that it's good for an era to be dynasty-less. Because the way that you started your soliloquy a little bit earlier when you were talking about what was crazy about the new CBA, you were mentioning how, prior eras had multiple time champions, the Chicago
No, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
what I'm saying
Bulls,
is,
the
what
San
I'm saying
Antonio
is,
Spurs,
no, what I'm
the Los
saying,
Angeles Lakers. And so I was asking, do you believe that an era is good without a
no, what
dynasty?
I'm saying is the new CBA was a necessity to end the manipulation and the nefarious activity. That's why it was brought forth. So
Yeah, it was
they
a total
probably
clapback, pretty much. I believe. Yeah,
it's basically
I mean,
saying
the owner's clapback.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
no, it's like no more of this. Now they probably take it to an extreme, but if that's what you got to do to eliminate the madness, so be it. But that's what I'm saying. The past eras didn't have that problem. If a team just happened to build and dominate and had it like a player, like the Jordans and the Magic and the Bird, they just dominated. Hey, that's what it was. Or Elijah Wan when he broke through and won 2 straight. That's what it was. But we're in an era now where this decade, you like Rose said, you saw it come on the horizon. The youth talent is driving the lead. The previous decade, the 2010s, a lot of young talent was casted out. The
What do you
OKC,
mean they
the
were casted
Timberwolves, the
out?
Rockets, the
Me,
Memphis
I think
Grizzlies,
yeah.
Orlando Magic, the Cleveland, the Knicks, all these teams. Houston just clinched the number 2 seed in the West out of nowhere. So what I'm saying is the youth talent and player development is paramount. Then free agency is your alternative source to improve the team, and then a key trade.
Yeah.
But the win now mentality, a team is built in reverse at the expense of your young talent. So you go, a real team is drafting, then maybe a key trade or free agency. Well, when you go to stack the deck route, well, it's free agent, trade everybody off, get rid of your draft picks. We'll worry about that down the road until the road get here. And when the road get here, it gets real murky. And then people start panicking. So what I'm saying is, the further they go down this road, you bring in Luka, they tell you, oh man, they finals bound. They ain't got to worry about no defense. They got the defenders, but they never did have them. That's the whole problem. So 2 years ago, they said we had the deepest roster, and now they're saying we ain't got nothing. Well, that means we didn't have nothing to begin with at the point where they said we had it all. It's all smoke and mirrors. But OKC got it. Denver improved they short points. New York made an
Denver don't have
improvement
it.
for their bench. So what I'm simply saying is,
Then we don't have what?
Wait, but he was
what I'm
saying
simply
that
saying
he was
is,
saying he was basically because right there, JB, like you were speaking about team structure, the concept of how you build a team in comparison to these big markets that were basically just buying their way to a title shot. And I agree with that. I agree with that. I
like
don't want to make it seem like that was
take
a false
Philadelphia,
statement. I agree with that. But I
take
think when
Philadelphia.
it comes, but I think if we're going to follow through with that ideology, bro, Denver has been doing that for years, and Jokic's prime, doing Jokic's prime to the point that now they're in a point where, I mean, they got lucky with the Cam Johnson for Michael Porter, the Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson trade. But outside of that, everything else that they've been doing, they're literally just like trying to pick up pieces
No, I
of what
get it.
they
No,
what they
Okay,
once
okay.
were.
Let me ask you this,
no,
Casual.
you're
Hold on,
right.
hold
You're
on.
right. But see, no, what I'm saying is, it depends on where point you at as a team. If you starting over as a team, you got to stay the course. Well, a team like Denver, they started building with Jokic back like in
Yeah.
2017. So they went through that 7-year process. They won a title. So now, like you said, they're at a point now where they do have to make key moves like they did this offseason, try to bolster the bench, but they still have their core players from most of their
Hold on.
core
Let's
players from the
keep it.
championship team. So
When
it
you
just
say
really depends on where you at. you know,
When you say Denver, hold on, JB. When you say Denver, they had Christian Brown. When they had Christian Brown, that's one of they drafted Michael
they
Porter
drafted
Jr.
him. Yep.
They drafted Michael Porter Jr. Obviously we know Mike.
They spent a lot of money and draft assets for them to be able to obtain Bruce Brown in the first goal. They also
Well,
went and got KCP from They also went and got KCP from
Oh yeah.
Washington. They
No, that's
not
moved
what
that,
I'm
not,
saying.
you know,
That's
that's
what I'm
not
saying.
that's
to
not like a
build
major
the
But
team.
superstar move.
before they got the Bruce Browns,
Make no mistake about it. To get KCP, to get KCP, they had to spend. Oh, and to get Bruce Brown from Brooklyn, they had to trade assets that were valuable
no,
at the
you're
time.
right. No, what
They're
I'm
To
paying
saying
make
the
the
is,
piper
money,
now.
and
but what I'm
these are
saying
not
is,
superstar
okay,
moves. These are
No,
ancillary pieces.
no, I'm saying,
these
okay,
are these are
great,
these are two these are 2 to 3 second rounders, first rounders for
Cool.
certain
right.
assets.
But
Yeah.
That's
That's
okay,
not
how
but
you use
no,
that.
no,
if you
that's
Yeah,
look
not
that's
at
how.
just
But
Denver,
that's
see, that's the
that's
thing.
if
Hold on,
those
if
are
you
hold
look
on,
at
casual.
Denver's team, they started building with Jokic. He came in around 2016,
Yeah, obviously
2015,
Jokic is the
2015.
I
centerpiece,
agree.
Okay,
right? And they drafted
yeah,
him
he
with a
was
second
centerpiece.
rounder.
I
Okay,
agree.
and then you bring in Murray. Well, first
Hmm.
of all, they had
Murray was
Will
a pick
Barton
was
and
a
Gary
pick
Harris.
swap from the Knicks. Hold on, because this
Mhm.
is dear to my heart. But
Okay,
Murray was a pick swap from the Knicks from the Carmelo Anthony trade. So they were able to get Murray up ahead of a guy like Jakob Poeltl. So he's their drafted player. Remember they had a lot of Will Bartons in
Okay,
the
Ro,
world.
What are you saying this for? What are you saying this for? What do you think we're talking about right now?
Okay, I'm thinking because you're talking about assets, how they had to give up assets to get these
right.
free agent pieces, right?
To get the pieces for them to compete
So
for a
obviously,
championship.
to
Yes.
the point that I'm making is Denver's centerpiece is homegrown. The centerpiece of what their contentionship is
It's homegrown.
homegrown. Now
And
the players that
I
they
agree. I agree, but
yeah.
that's not what we're discussing right
But
now. That's
okay,
not what
but
we're discussing
what
right
I'm
now.
saying, the players that they added, like they added Jeff Greens of the world, they added, KCPs, and they added Bruce Browns. Again, they got those guys on big time, they gave them good contracts, but they had their assets. They were not dearth of second round picks. And so when you're trying to build the pieces around a championship core, yeah, you got to start making those moves. So
Right.
Agree.
But see, this is the thing. Okay,
But again,
Rose
bro,
said, like,
that's not what we're just for clarification. What me and JB are discussing right now is not
uh-huh.
whether the Nuggets made a bad move. It's not discussing how pricey the pieces are. What we're discussing right
Okay.
now is what the CBA, the standard that the CBA is setting forth in terms of
well,
how
what I'm
you
saying is this.
how
What
you
I'm saying
structure
is
your
that
roster.
any team
That's
that's
what we're
starting
talking about right
over, let's go back and look at Denver. Okay, Jokic come in about 2015. I think that's when he was drafted,
now.
2015. Okay, then about 2 years later, they draft Jamal Murray. Now remember, then they drafted other players like Gary Harris and Will Barton, right? Just like Ro mentioned. Okay, so when you
Well,
start over.
Gary Harris had been there.
Yeah,
He was there
Gary
No,
with
I'm
Harris.
saying
Jokic.
he was
With
there.
Jokic.
No, what I'm saying he
Yeah.
was there about 3-4 years after. But what I'm saying is this. Okay, so you start drafting other players. Okay, so the first 4 years is basically built to the point where you become a playoff team, right? Especially if you start over. Okay, so then you know what you got. So let's say a player like Gary Harris and Will Barton, you say, okay, they probably maxed out as players. Okay, then you take the next step, but your core players, is Jokic, Murray, and then later on Michael Porter. Okay, so you build off of that, and you say, okay, Barton and Harris, they've taken their game as far as they can go. Now we need to take the next step and make a key trade, and that's when they start when they got Aaron Gordon.
Remember I always told you Denver. Bro, remember I always told you, hold on real quick. Let me go in real quick. Remember when I told you Denver needed an athletic type of slasher type scorer finisher, and they went and got Aaron Gordon that year, right? And obviously, that raised them
That was
another
in 21, and I believe they would have went to the finals that year, but that's when Murray injured his ACL.
Yeah,
I agree.
They probably went
I
to the
agree.
finals then.
I agree. I agree
So
with
what I'm
you,
saying,
JB.
now they at a point where they in a prime, they're a prime team, and they're at the stage where
and their window is there as well.
Yeah, so
this is their championship window.
They're at a point now where you can understand why they need to go out and make those type of moves that they made this offseason. Well, I'm saying when you start all over again and you exempt all of that before you even get started, well, on the back end is when you're gonna see the problems. Like if Jokic can lead them to one more championship, he'll have 2 championships in Denver. You can't really ask no more than that. If you pull out one more
I
title,
don't know.
you see what I'm saying? In this decade, if he can crack out one more title in his prime, I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing more.
I already think the experience has been a success. I think is more of showing, similar to the Milwaukee situation. It's sort of just showing you're trying to build a competent unit that adheres to your superstars' needs. That's more of more of a necessity than actually compete for it, because not everybody can be in championship contention, right?
That's
Especially
true.
when you're talking
That's true.
about
Yeah,
play
that's
teams,
true.
especially when you're talking about teams that are building while you're dominating. So once your time is up, their time is up. Their time is next. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for you to be able to keep up with the next team
See,
that's
You're
coming
right.
up
The way
behind you.
it's gonna be. That's why I say that's why I say one little tweak. It could be one minor move, but that can be the move
Mhm.
that take a team and put them over the hump over the next team. That's
see,
pretty
and
much.
not
Yep.
yeah,
That's pretty much
and
what
not
it is.
to get caught up in one example though, right? Denver's example is a prime reason why parity, the CBA itself, has lent itself to parity, because while they got those 2 major pieces, which provided what you need in this era, perimeter defense. Those are the 2 of the strongest perimeter defense. Again, another big pro like Jeff Green. They lost all 3 of those. Well, they lost 2 of those guys, and then they lost KCP the next year. So they lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. Then they lost KCP the next year. Christian Brown had to.
But that's the part. That's the part that I was about to. That was the part that me and JB
Okay.
was at before we got to talking about how they got to this point.
Yeah.
The CB the C without what we were when we were talking about team structure and we were
Uh-huh.
bringing up CBA. It's one thing to build that team, but once you get there, we're at a point right now of the CBA
Yeah.
where teams are too scared to jump into the second apron,
That's right.
Yeah.
including the Denver
Yes,
Nuggets,
because it's very. Here's the thing. Because it's
primarily because
very
they're
costly.
primarily no, but that's what I agree with that. Though that being the reasoning. However, if I am looking from the landscape of a team like the Denver Nuggets, who had all the makings of being the
Uh-huh.
dynasty of this era, you are being. I don't think this is the moment where you should be scared and hesitant. Take for
Here's the
example the Boston
problem. Yeah.
Celtics.
Go ahead.
Boston had all the makings prior to this injury. They had all the makings of
Making
being the dynasty of this era because they had Derek
everything
White
you. Yes,
along with
we
Drew
know
Holiday, Jalen Brown, Tatum, Kristaps, Horford, all of
But see,
this good
everything. Yes.
sauce.
Yes.
And as soon as the team showed signs of aging or not being able to compete, boom! Now we can flip Kristaps to Atlanta just like that. We could flip Drew Holiday
Yeah.
back to Portland and get
Yeah.
some assets back. And so what I'm saying is, for teams, I think going forward for the new CBA, that's why I was asking you, do you think it's good to not have a dynasty in this era?
I think it's great. So
if
let
it's
me
gonna,
answer your
if
question.
it's
But
going to
I
flesh
personally
Yeah.
out,
believe,
We
I
got
if it's going
personally,
to flesh out
per,
all the nonsense,
Yeah.
it is
Because I
great.
want to overview this. I don't want to. Hold on, guys.
flesh
Hold on,
out
guys.
the.
Yeah, I want to overview this because you use the Boston example, right? Again, Boston. This is assumed, because remember Al Horford was like a 20-30 million player, between 20 and 30 million dollar player himself. So if you're gonna ask Horford to come back, you're gonna have to ask him to come back on a pay cut, right? So they said without Horford, I remember them mentioning this in the second round. The Boston Celtics tax bill, like they basically got to spend $500 million to bring that team back without Horford. Now, when they get whatever they give Horford, it's going to be like a 4-to-1. If they say they gave Horford $20 million, they're going to have to spend another $100 million to fill that team, because that's what the second apron does.
Oh,
It
Horford
is
wasn't
a
a $30
hard cap.
million.
Huh?
Horford wasn't a $30 million player though.
Let me see what it was. Let me look at what Horford made, especially.
Horford was making like 10 a year.
Hold on. I think it was more than that, but let's see. Let's see for sure. I'm looking him up right now. Hold on one second. I
Almost
like the
certain. He was like
hold
yeah, he was
on
like
salary.
19 for 2 years.
Okay, you're right. He did make 10 million this year. He
Yeah.
made 26 points. So again, I believe that was a 1-year deal. He probably was on a 1-year deal. And then,
No,
but
it was
either
two.
way,
It was a 2-year deal, and it was like 19, 20 mil that
so it was with a player.
he
It
was
was an opt out,
guaranteed.
right? So it was an opt out.
No, it was not. It wasn't an opt
Hold on,
out.
let
It
me look
was
at the contract.
It's 2 years, and then you become an unrestricted free agent.
So it was a 9.5 with it was 9.5 with probably an incentive, right? And he probably met the incentive. So he got 10 million. So he got paid 10 million. That's what it says as far as the salary. And again, yeah, obviously Horford is good. See, this is the thing, right? Al Horford is obviously a valuable player. The problem is this free agent year, nobody has money under the cap. Everybody has to, pretty much, as you see, the only reason why Milwaukee was able to get Turner is because they used the stretch provision, which I forgot exists. The stretch provision came way back from 2013. The stretch provision came back from the 2011 lockout. If you remember, right, Casual?
You don't. Yeah, no. I remember it. You typically don't want to do it, but it made all the sense in the world at
Yeah,
this point
it made
because
sense for that point because you got to have a dead player on you. You're gonna have that $50 million. So they just said, all right, because their main imperative, Milwaukee, is keeping. As I predicted, is keeping Giannis happy. Now they're trying to say, okay, look, we know we're going to lose Lopez. Well, we got a younger Lopez than Miles Turner, and
but that's not that. That again, I keep telling you that it's not just to make Giannis happy. The contracts that they built out are team friendly. So even if Giannis has to go, like let's say Giannis,
I get it.
Says I want to leave, we still have flexibility for us to
I
be able
understand
to
that
have
part.
a
I understand that
functional
part, but you still
business.
also want to. You still want to. I said they gotta have to re-recruit Giannis for him not to ask for a trade because again, this is a season where he's in his prime. Obviously, still an MVP level player, and you want to have a conceivable chance. So right now, remember I said there are 10 teams. I said Milwaukee unfortunately falls below the team that I think they can win it, can conceivably win a champion. I don't, but so that's why I say they will lose because you said Milwaukee being a loser. They've pretty much held serve. And I think they need to get better to become legit contenders. Now, I think there's 6 contenders in the West and 4 in the East. I think Orlando could conceivably, again, mind you, I don't think they're a front runner, but I think if their moves work out, you can see them going to the final. See, this was good because I say, look, nobody saw Indiana coming, right? Nope, and people had their doubts about OKC, even when they were 45 and whatever in the middle of the season, right? People had their doubts about I had their doubts because I was like, is Jalen Williams a number 2 of a championship winning team? Well, he proved that, right? And Chet Holmgren came back. He was healthy. Obviously, his skinny frame, he's always an injury risk, right? But at the end of the day, they did it. And Indiana got there. Again, it's good because 10 teams, and that's just today because I didn't have Clippers as one of those teams until the John Collins trade came through. So I think Clippers got conceivably better. You moving Kawhi, which will help him. Him not being the player in the 4. That's why I didn't like that move too. If it was I didn't like that move. I only liked that move at the beginning, that bubble season, because I don't like like Kawhi and Paul George playing the forwards. Neither one of them were a 4. If you're going to look at the 2, I guess Kawhi was more the 4. I mean, not Kawhi. Paul George was more the 4, but he ain't a real 4. Being a 4, you got to take a little bit more bumps. See, Julius Randle is one of the few 4s left where he's got the body and makeup to take a lot of that physicality at the 4 position.
Say what's up to Giannis?
Say again?
Giannis?
Oh no! I said one of the few. No, one of the few. It's not a lot of true 4s. Not a lot of true 6. Like obviously, Giannis is one of them. I would say there's only like 5 or 6 of true 4s really playing in this league right now. To be honest, I mean, if you can name more, name me more. Siakam is short. Siakam is one. He's kind of short.
I think Siakam is one.
You think Scotty Barnes is a 4?
Yes, I think Scotty Barnes is a true 4.
He's 6'8".
He's 6'9".
Okay, all right.
I think
Name
Let's
them.
see.
Name the rest of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Portland got
So,
Kamara.
so we
He's
got
6'7".
No, I don't like Kamara as like if we're going by the logic of a true center. I don't know about that.
You know, OKC uses Chet at the center a
Chet
lot. That's
Holmgren
why
is
they
a
got. That's why they got Hartenstein to limit his center
yeah,
minutes.
yeah, I think Chet Holmgren is a true
He
power
is,
forward.
but
I think
he's still slight.
I think Evan Mobley is a true power forward.
Yeah, that's another one.
I think you mentioned Pascal. I
Nick's
think
got to use Karl Anthony Towns
I
at the
think
4. I
Paul
think that's his position.
I think Paolo is also a true power forward.
He's a small forward to me, but okay.
Really?
But,
Nah,
yeah, I mean he's 6'9". He's not the traditional. Like you don't want him taking a lick. I'll put it this way.
250 is
he 6'10"? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
He's bigger than it, but I think you don't want him banging a lot because again, like he took that oblique injury
his
that kind of
game.
derailed this. No, I get it, but that derailed their season. But okay,
I get you.
I mean,
I get you.
when I say the true 4, I mean guys that you can count on them for 20 and 10. Like I think he's more of a scorer than a 20 and 10 guy.
I think Paolo is a 20. I think Paolo is a 20 and 10 guy. He's playing on a team with Franz, who he's more of a facilitator and a rebound. Well, Franz is a do-it-all player in his own right, so he's sharing sort of the responsibility with another co-star.
You see, Najee is a troll. I like Najee hanging around, but you see what Najee said on the screen, right? I just want y'all to, but, he's a troll. It is what it is. But no, I just think a lot of teams going with the too small. But the point I was making is putting Kawhi back at his natural position. That will help with his injury management. Because again, at the 4, and even with AD playing, that's why AD got fed up. Like you guys want me to stay healthy, but you play me at center. I'm taking a lot more bumps at center than I would take at the 4.
AD is also a true power forward as well. That's another one.
You're right, but he was playing a center for a long time. See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of teams going small ball is why you got 4s playing the 5, and then you got 3s playing the 4. So that small ball, again, that's a good strategy to go with. See, Boston. I don't think Tatum or Brown are true 4s. I think they're both 3s. And they're both 3s. And I think really it's probably better to use Jaylen Brown as a 2 than a 3. But at the end of the day, you a lot of people. You see Scotty Barnes, another one. He's another guy that took an injury. Yeah, the injuries is going up because guys are playing out of position. Like you need a certain amount of like with Julius Randle. When I say Julius Randle and Giannis are true 4s, they got the padding, like their body makeup can take those bumps that a 4 takes. Take that and then right as LeBron said on Mind the Game. We need to get it to adjust it to the physicality. Him playing a 4 is not good for him either. He should be a 3. But one of the things that I said about the Lakers problem, he's not quick enough to be the 4, the 3 every day. He's got to play the 4. So again, that was the fundamental problem with the Lakers. You can't play LeBron at the 3 no more. He's not as quick enough. He's not quick as most wings. Now you got these wings that are really, really fast. You expecting LeBron to guard these guys 80-something games? It's not good. So he needs to play the 4, but that means you need to bring in a 3. And then with AD on the team, now AD can't play the 4 because LeBron's at the 4. Now AD's playing center. He's taking more bumps at center than he would at power forward. This is why some of you got to watch the way you build these teams. No, look, that's my thing.
That's too simple in my opinion.
Is it too simple? How did it play out? How did it play out?
No. I'm not saying. Well, no, actually, no. I am saying you're wrong. I think looking at this day and age, we're in a more complex lineup era where you can run.
I get it.
You can run 3 forwards at a time. Or you could run four guards and a big at a time, and it'd be serviceable if they have the right skill set. I truly believe the problem with the Lakers wasn't the fact that LeBron can't play the 4 or he's too slow to play the 3. I just think they lacked athleticism. If LeBron at age 40 got to be your most athletic wing,
that's the problem.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble. And again, structurally, him and AD on the same team. See, it's the thing, right? 2 things can be right. All of that is true. You can play that. We are playing a lot more small ball. Here's the thing. Why I think a situation with injuries being up, because you got to play 80. It's still an 82 game season, and the game still has a certain amount of physicality in it. So guys playing out of position will lead to more injuries. Again, OG Anunoby playing the 4. I don't like that. I like the Knicks. That's why we needed Mitchell Robinson back. So OG Anunoby can play more 3 minutes. Everybody, when Mitchell Robinson came back, and I said that was a key for going to the playoff, everybody slides into their natural position. It's like a domino effect where Mitchell Robinson can come and eat some of these center minutes, giving us a stronger rim protector, putting guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, because Karl-Anthony Towns took a couple of knocks too. You know, he started off shooting over 50% from the 3 that first month of the season. Then he's catching, the finger injuries. He's taking less threes. The wear and tear of a season naturally is going to bring, can y'all hear me? Because I'm hearing an echo. Okay.
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So the wear and tear of a season is going to naturally lead to a certain amount of injuries. Like when you say Scotty Barnes wound up getting hurt in the last part of the season. That's why a lot of these players are not making it through the season. And sometimes you just got to limit their minute. You can still play Scotty Barnes in certain lineups at the 4, but if he has to play the 4 every minute of every game, it's going to take away from him. It's going to lead to him getting more injuries. So, I mean, that's just a theory that I have, and I think it plays out the way you go. That's why I believe that's the next reason. You got to have depth. And again, reason why Denver couldn't keep all their pieces and other teams, a lot of other teams, even, again, I'm going to say this. The OKC is an advantage right now because Jalen Williams, their second best player, is still on his rookie deal, and their third best player is on their rookie deal. But the year after that, both of them guys are going to get big time contracts, right? So now it's going to start costing OKC big time money to keep that team together. Remember, OKC, while they were building, they were a team that was under the cap where they could farm bad contracts, and then they would pick up, like some people would trade a bad expiring contract to OKC. OKC has a salary cap space to absorb it, but they would get a draft pick in addition to absorbing that bad contract. You understand what I'm saying, Casual? Yep. And that gave them a lot of assets. So they sitting there with picks where they could just kick the can on and trade, they could trade the picks down the line.
They got Al Horford from Philadelphia the same year that he signed that big contract. They just bought him out. And then they
got a pick with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. They said thank you, Philly, for that draft pick. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Remember they took Kemba Walker's deal from Boston too. Remember
from Boston. They took they sure did. You absolutely.
They did a lot. The Nets did. The Nets are doing that now. See those bad teams. That's one of the ways when you're a bad team, you take bad. You're under the cap. You can take bad. The Nets just took a bad contract at Michael Porter Jr. and got a draft pick from Denver to do it. See, that's
because they got time. They got time.
Yeah, they're not expected to win right away. And so those years where so OKC, these are the models. If you're at the bottom of the league and you know that you ain't got the guy, okay, well let me I can take your bad contract. You need to get rid of this bad contract and do something else. So this is why you got to keep yourself flexible. So those teams, me and JB have been on this since the beginning, bro. Since 2020, since the bubble, since before the bubble, since 2019, where everybody was trying to get their win now super teams. I say, look, those win now super teams, they better win right now, because when they don't, and it's going to be an expensive. But that's the thing. The thing about Denver, right? As you know, where the owners make their money. The owners make their money through playoff gates and revenues, right? Because we all know that the CBA is hashed out where the owners get 40, I believe it's 44% now. It used to be 42. I think it's like 46, 54, 46 in terms of the players. It might be 53, 47, but so that's where the salary cap comes from, the expected revenue, the whole nine, right? Where the owners make their money, because now the players are the players don't get like their regular season salary in the playoffs. So those owners that get those extra gates through extra rounds of the playoff, they making like $10, $15 million a home game, right? That's where you can now spend more. Now you get the money because of the ticket prices and all that. They make the ticket prices higher because that's where the owners make their revenue by making long playoff runs. So if Denver is going to go into the luxury tax and all that, right, and go into over the second apron, well, they got to make sure that this team around Jokic is going to get to at least the conference finals, because then all those extra gates from those extra playoff games is where they can make the money to justify. So as we know, as we saw Jordan selling the Hornets, he ain't making no playoff runs. The Lakers made one, as I said, the Lakers made two playoff runs. One of them was the pandemic one where nobody got no money. There was nobody in the stands. And the other one was the conference finals. The other from those first round exits, it doesn't justify going into second apron. You understand what I'm saying? If you're not making long playoff runs. The first round is nice, but this has always been the way it is. I just was telling JB about the 1990 Reds, right? This is a baseball reference. But Marge Schott, the Reds had swept the A's in 4 games in 1990 World Series. Marge Schott was so mad that her team got a sweep. She wanted the game 5 so she could get the extra gate. And she got so mad that she didn't pay for the parade or any celebration. Ain't that wild? That you're mad that your team wanted a sweep because you lost the money on the 5th game? It's crazy, but that's just the way it is. That's how the owners will see it. So the owners are the ones you're asking to sign off on a check, and again, they're not making cash. They're not making liquid cash. Their value is in the valuation of their franchise. That's why one of the reasons why Jeannie Buss sold, because as we see, we're going into a new CBA where she could make money selling LeBron jerseys and Bronny jerseys and all the paraphernalia, all the memorabilia and all that. But now the new CBA believes that they're going to make revenue sharing with even the jersey sale.
Crazy. I caught that. You almost said
So that's why see the economics of the game, and again we probably don't bore everybody with this, but the economics of the game come into play here. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why when you see teams making moves that they make, it's going to. I'm already over the second apron, and I'm bringing this guy in, and I'm gonna give him a $15 million contract. I got his bird rights or whatever it is, because they have bird rights. Remember, the Lakers had bird rights on Caruso, and it was good when he got the $10 million offer from Chicago to match it. It was going to cost the Lakers $40 million a year to bring back Caruso. So it was either bring back Caruso at $10 million or bring back Taylor Horton-Tucker at $2 million. They chose Taylor Horton-Tucker. They couldn't do both. They could not just remember the Lakers are a family business, so they could not justify bringing both guys back. That's why the Lakers, after the bubble, only brought back 6 of the 15 players from that championship roster. That I cannot go back in history before that and see a championship team bring less of the roster back than that 2020 Lakers did. You understand what I'm saying? And part of that, again, because they made no revenue from the bubble championship. No revenue was made. It was just, ESPN satisfied ESPN to give them content for the summer, because obviously ESPN was about to go out of business, so they was about to really go into the red because they had nothing to play. That's why they played The Last Dance, because we didn't have shit to watch. It was nothing going on, no sports. You know what I mean? So a lot of that, and again, that between the pandemic and just parity in general, the new CBA in general was the owners getting their get back, saying, look, you guys want to form these super teams? It's going to cost your owner a lot of money to keep that. And that's why I say you cannot, if you're trying to build a team off of $370 million, 60, you see the extensions are going to $75 million. Before this decade is up, people are going to start getting $100 million a year. I believe Wemby will be the first player that gets paid $100 million in an NBA season. Can you imagine that, Casual? You talk. He dropped off. But can you imagine that? $100 million. That's $1.25 million a goddamn game. A 40-minute game, and you get paid $1.25 million every game. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. So that, I hope we didn't bore our audience off talking these details, but at the end of the day, that's the bottom line when it comes down to this new CBA. It's not as cut and dry as y'all think it is. Just spend the money. Yo, these owners they made the luxury tax and the tax bills to the point where it punished you for going over that second apron. That was Silver and the owners get back on these super teams and the player empowerment. Because you cannot justify, unless your team is a legit contender that you can expect to see in the conference finals, it don't make sense to spend $500 million like in the Boston Celtics case. And that's why they were losing, because unfortunately they had no choice. Without Tatum there, you're not gonna make a conference finals run. You're not gonna be able to make a guaranteed conference finals run. And if you're gonna spend $500 million on a team that doesn't even make the playoffs or gets knocked out in the first round, that's hard. That's another reason why we do the playing game, because that's an extra gate. You know what I'm saying? These gates matter. You think anybody thinking that they're gonna reduce the C schedule delusional? They're not reducing the schedule. So again, you're gonna have the 82 game season. You're gonna have the play-in. You're gonna have parity. You're gonna have all of these things, man. So, again, these are the discussions me and you have always had, bro. We've seen it coming. A lot of people don't know this, and it's like, I'm not sitting here acting like I'm a savant or anything, but I've saw the writing on the wall. But I also see the new TV contract. It's putting owners in the money pocket. It's putting owners money in the players' pocket. It's putting money in the owner's pocket, putting money in the player's pocket. It's all a growing business, but you got to watch how you spend now. That's why you see what you see this offseason. That's why I can comfortably say you're not going to see any crazy blockbuster moves, from here on out. Unless Giannis gets traded, which I don't think is going to happen. I would give it about a 25% chance at best. But it can happen, right? It obviously can happen. Anything can happen. But, yes.
Right.
The second apron, yeah. The second apron is the hard cap. If you guys understand, in football, if you're $1 over the cap, I think it's $1 million. I think it's like millions and millions of dollars so in football, obviously, they cut players. That's why players don't have guaranteed contracts. They flat out cut players. You know what I'm saying? Because you cannot go over the cap. That's a hard cap in football. You could go over the cap, but you're paying a big salary. And mind you, in football, they have 8 to 9 dates. You know what I'm saying? Like, as the home team, you got 8 home games. You cannot afford for any player to be over the salary cap. That's why they cut players. That's why. And again, you're right, stretch provision. Now, Damian Lillard will be on the Bucks book for the next 5 years. But they're doing it to pivot. They're doing it to pivot and try to make more what they can out of Giannis right now, where they have him at an MVP level. So these are the reasons why a lot of these moves are being made, guys. That's why I want people to understand. I really want people to understand, because you're not. That's why I say, if you want to look at your team, go look at what they are salary cap wise. I started looking. I said, Knicks under that second apron. The second apron, I believe, right now is $207 million. So if your payroll's under $207 million, you can do it. But you can go over the $207 million. But again, you better have a conference. You better have a contender. You better have a team that's on my top 10. Or because I don't look. I could be wrong. If one of those teams is outside of my top 10, that's 4 in the East and the 6 in the West, make it to the conference finals next year, I'll eat crow. I doubt it. We can, like I said, we can come back to this stream and I named my 4. I said 4 in the East, the top 6 in the West. If you're in the play-in the West, if I got you in the play-in in the West, I don't see you making the conference finals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, C-Dub, you here? I know I was told I could talk, but I listen to y'all go, but because these are the things I've been said. These are the things I've been paying attention to, and so again, and I just wanted to see if you had anything on the subject or anything, because I know I've been rambling on, but Yeah, I mean, this is the way you have to build teams now is completely different. We were talking about it, right? And we were talking about how the second apron and all of that. The second apron is essentially a hard cap. But again, remember, because you have bird rights, Larry Bird exception, which goes back to the 80s. You can obviously, if you need to re-sign your guy, if you like Luka, if you need to extend your guy, or if you need to send Joker, obviously, to lose Joker, you will go over the second apron to get Joker. But now you got to consider what you're spending around him, right? You got to consider what you're spending around your superstar.
Yeah, nowadays you can't overpay for these role players like they used to do. They started overpaying, Tobias Harris, those type players.
Yep.
Can't do that now because you hit that apron, like you said, it's lights out because the owners want to pay all that money, for mediocre talent.
So just like your Spurs, look, your Spurs got Wemby on for another 2 years on his rookie deal, right? Then after that, they're gonna start having to really consider. They're gonna have Castle, so it's imperative. They got a Harper. These guys got to be developed. You got to try to win. You got to try to get to the playoffs now, get the experience. This and the third, but those guys are Wemby is gonna have to get. Was gonna get paid. Wemby, like I said, my prediction, he'll be the first $100 million. Now, the good part is the TV money we're going to be kicking in is going to escalate every year. So the cap is going to get up. The apron is going to go up. But you still got to – that's why they have capologists. Capologist is now a legitimate job in the NBA front offices now because you got to – it's all the math. It's all – you got to really look at who you're paying and what you're paying. Look, even baseball with no salary cap, you got to watch what you're spending on these guys, And shout out to the Mets. They just came back and won today. They were down 6-2. But Juan Soto, right, got the biggest deal in the history of sports so far. But he was struggling and didn't even make the All-Star team this year. But now he's picking it up. Again, you got to watch how you're building these teams in every sport. So I always been telling guys, man, we've been chatting with and Facebook and all, like, this is not monopoly money, guys. These owners, look, it's all equity and all that shit, right? Jordan got to make the payroll, right? When he owned the Hornets, he got to make payroll. The money that most Jeannie Buss and them have, they're using, they're financing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got to deposit the money that they make from the games and the gates and all that. The money that they get from the league, but yeah, they're not making a lot of liquid money. You know what I'm saying? They're making so what they can spend it. They're spending their financing. They're basically borrowing off the team. That's what again they were talking about that on Go Jays Kingdom, and I understand that, right? You're borrowing money off the value of your team from banks,
right? Small market teams,
yeah. I mean, if you're an NBA owner, and again, you're not making liquid money from the team. You're making money based on what the team is worth. So yeah, you can go to the bank and get a line of credit. You can go to the bank and get a $20 million line of credit if you want to buy that yacht or whatever, or improve the team playing. But it's got to come. As we know, man, the business got to keep growing. It's the valuation of the franchise got to keep going. So that's why I say, man, look, NBA and sports, we love it, but this is why it winds up coming to. This is why I got to spend $82 to renew, which I'm not going to do for the summer. I'm not renewing my YouTube TV until the season start back. I'm not spending $82. What am I watching? I'm only getting it to watch. I'm gonna be in Brazil for a month, so I'm only getting it to watch. What's the name anyway? You know what I mean? I'm only getting it to watch NBA basketball.
WNBA. Summer League, or I see you talking Summer League or WNBA, because that's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying, like, am I gonna spend $82 to watch WNBA? And I like WNBA. I can catch it in other ways. I can find, shit. That I don't want to make it too hot about those illegal streaming sites, but you know what I'm saying, like, So yeah, when it came to, I was watching the Knicks games on Gotham. I was spending $30 on that, another $82 on YouTube TV. I do $17 for YouTube Premium, no, $14 for YouTube Premium. Well, yeah, you go out and look at what my entertainment bill is a lot. So we look as fans, we pay into this shit, bros.
Yeah.
y'all think this? We pay into that. All of that from ESPN and NBC and all that all goes into the pot that pays these players. So if you think it ain't coming out of your pocket, whether you go to the game or not, and you see how much it costs to go to the game. When you go to Charlotte games, C-Dub?
I've been to a few.
Yeah, it costs a pretty penny to, like, for you and the kids to have a good time there, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we pay, the money comes from us fans, whether you watch it on TV or actually go to the games or get a season tickets or whatever. And like secondary market, you get the season ticket, you go to a handful of games, and you sell the tickets for the rest of the games you don't go to tourists or whoever.
And the crazy thing what's dirty here is, I know it used to be like this. If you didn't have Spectrum TV, you couldn't even watch Charlotte games, even if it came.
You know what I mean?
TV, it was blacked out. If you didn't,
see what I mean?
Yeah, if you have Spectrum TV, they would black out all Charlotte games.
That's why I don't do League Pass, because I can't watch the Knicks on League Pass. But I want to watch the Knicks. If I want to watch an NBA basketball, I watch the Knicks. There'll be a few games in the regular season that'll interest me. You know what I'm saying? Piece of card. Yeah, we talk about what you was talking about over there on Coach James Kingdom, right? About how owners got to make their money. They don't make liquid money, man. Everything goes into the pot. So again, that goes into how we build teams. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, we spit nothing but truth over here. We spit nothing but truth over here. We ain't lying about a goddamn thing. I educate my audience. You do too, but you always trolling, Johnny. You educate them sometimes for about 5 minutes, and the rest of it be pure cap. But yeah, we talking about, if you go back, hey, Johnny, if you can, would you list your 1 through 8 prediction? I listed mine. People mad that I got a certain exclusion in the West. The Lakers not making a playoff, and I stand on it. But I'm looking back for where I put my 1 through 8.
That's crazy.
Yeah, hold on.
Putting Portland over there.
I got Portland as the 8th seed, bro. I actually got Chicago making the 8th. So I got 2 dark hopes. Nobody thinks Chicago. I think Chicago will be pretty good. And then I got Portland making the 8th seed in the West. So I lose all credibility when I got Portland in the playoffs. See, I was the guy that said Detroit was going to make the playoffs. See, I don't lose all credibility when nobody had Detroit making the playoffs going in the next year. Nobody. I not only had Detroit wound up being the 6th seed, but I actually thought they could make the 4th seed, and they had a chance to be the 4th seed that last 2 weeks of the season. They lost some, Indiana went on a value. Indiana, to get the 4th seed, they had to go on a big run. Y'all forget that. Indiana could have been the 6th seed or the 5th seed. Indiana had to go on a run. Minnesota had to go on a run. Those were actually the 2 hottest teams coming in the playoffs, Indiana and Minnesota. But I had Detroit in the playoffs last year, the beginning of the season. Y'all don't, you know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, this is my 8th seed in the East, in the West, Johnny. The East is going to be weaker division. Weaker conference, but the top 4 seeds, I think, are like up ahead. But that's my prediction that's my way too early. Again, it's way too early. It's subject to change. For the East, I'm gonna show you my East right now.
Okay, you got Denver ahead of Houston.
I got Denver ahead of Houston. Yes, I do. I don't like Houston as much as y'all. I don't like Van Vliet. That's my problem. I don't like Van Vliet as point guard. I still think they'll have problem closing out close games. I know they got KD, obviously, but I don't like Van Vliet as a point guard. Yeah, I know he can, but look, here's the problem. All those years in Phoenix, what was Phoenix's problem? They were horrible in the 4th quarter because they didn't have a point guard. They had 4 guys that could score and no point guard. And you have a point guard and you got a good roster rep, but I still don't like Van Vliet for them to be elite. This is just the seeding that I got. So that's why I think Denver is a more complete team. And that's my. So when I make the one for the East, this is Rakim. My fault. Shit, his is not that different than mine actually. He got Atlanta. I don't like Atlanta. He got Milwaukee at 7, and he got the Celtics making the 8th. Hold on a second. Shout out to Rakim for actually doing it. Here's mine.
No, Johnny don't have Boston in there.
Yeah, well, look, I got Boston at 7, so I got them as a playing team.
I think they're good enough to be.
So I'm assuming this is in order. Cleveland, New York, Atlanta, Detroit, Milwaukee. We pretty much agree on Heat. Now, of course, he's the Heat fan, so he got Miami. I probably did sleep on Miami. I forgot to even mention Miami, Atlanta, Toronto. So he got Toronto as his dark horse seed. I like Toronto too. If Emmanuel Quickly, I'm telling you, Emmanuel Quickly got hurt the opening night, and he was struggling with injuries all year. Emmanuel Quickly gonna break out. I like RJ Barrett. Again, I was talking with Casual. I think Scotty Barnes playing a 4. I think they need to limit the minutes that Scotty Barnes played the 4 because, again, that's why he gets injured in my opinion. Like him playing a 4, he's a 3. He's a 3.5. See, a lot of these power forwards, they're 3.5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did Toronto? Do they have Jacob Poeltl?
They got Poeltl back. Yeah.
Okay.
They got Poeltl back. Did they get any really good? They got a couple of guys. Yeah. Nothing I don't think whoever they got, I don't think will be in their starting 5. So, it's probably going to be a bench player that, again, obviously you need bench, you need depth. But with RJ Barrett Quickly, I think a full season of if their top 3 can play 70 games or more, yeah, I could see Toronto definitely in the playoffs. Atlanta, I think Atlanta's due to. Y'all love it. Kristaps Porzingis is done, and they got the brunt of that contract. Now I love Jalen Johnson. I think Jalen Johnson is a future star in the making. I'll tell you this. I know you're gonna say this is Nick hate, but I think Trae Young is a shitty leader. Obviously, we know he's talented, but with the way he crashed out in the goddamn playing tournament last year. Yeah, and I know they got the. No, they missed the playoffs. Yeah, they didn't even get the AC. It was what's his name?
The Tyrese Halliburton treatment. He gets the overrated stamp, but I think
he is overrated.
He's solid.
I think he's obviously solid, but he's not a good leader. See, he's not a good. But look. Hating on Trae, he got to that conference finals. What did your Heat? Hold on, Johnny. What did your Heat in the next year after 2021? What did your Heat do to him in 2022? You remember, Johnny? Your Heat did it. He was looking like Caitlin Clark out there. That nigga had 7 turnovers a game in the first half, in the first quarter, first round. And you know who was guarding him the whole series? PJ, Lamont's favorite utility defender, PJ Tucker. 37-year-old PJ Tucker was hounding Trae Young. Yeah, the Alexander Walker and Johnson. But if you're counting on, so they lost Clint Capella, and I know Okongwu. Okongwu is going to be their center. Don't count on shit from KP. Maybe you can move him back to the 4. But don't count on him because that viral infection, and he's always hurt, bro. But that's $30-something million in cap. That's about $30 million in cap that's sitting there where, it's just you just inherited a bad contract. So I just don't like Trae Young as a leader. Trae Young had that one overrated conference final run because he did not shoot well. He shot again. I'm not one of these guys that go into efficiency. But he gets to put up a lot of shots. And, give me 45%. He shoots 42%. He shoots 42% and 30. He shooting them logo thing. That nigga's Caitlin Clark, bro. Let's keep it real. Caitlin Clark look. For you, as I get into because I even go on Facebook and get into with WNBA fan because boy, they go crazy over Angel Reese, but Angel Reese is balling right now. And Caitlin Clark is injured. But, where is it acceptable to have 6 turnovers a game? I don't care if you have 15 assists. Okay, man, you got to give me 15 assists. Because even though Stockton had them years, we was 13, 14, 15 assists. He didn't have 6 turnovers a game. Bro, 6 turnovers a game is nasty work. Am I lying? Am I lying? Somebody tell me I'm lying. There's 6 turnovers a game ain't nasty work. Because that's 1.5 turnovers a quarter.
You talking about Caitlin?
Yeah. 6 turnovers a game is nasty work, bros. I can see you having a 10 turnover game once in a while.
Overrated, but
bro, she's Dame Lillard at best. She's good for hitting logo threes. She plays no defense. Now she's a good passer. I will give her that. But you kill it when you get 6 turnovers a game.
Yeah, she is.
Paige Buchel is way better. Paige Buchel is her with everything she wants. Yeah. Paige Buchel is everything they want her to be, but without the frills. Paige Buchel is a better player, period. But Caitlin Clark got the NCAA records, and but Paige Buchel got the championships. Well, what do you want? You want records or championships? That's the good old LeBron versus Jordan debate, and we ain't gonna start that. But you know, yeah, look, the dice. Hold on, look, the dice didn't bother me because they went to Vegas and lost, right? The Knicks won the next 10 games after that. I ain't tripping over that logo shit. They didn't make the playoffs. We got to the conference finals, and we going for the chip, bro. You know what I mean? Look,
the Hawks are a dark horse out east.
They could be. I just think they got. I think. I got the problem with them and a problem with Cleveland. I think they got a culture issue. I think the leader. Look, no knock to Donovan Mitchell. It's got nothing to do with Donovan Mitchell, but Mobley winning defensive player of the year, they're not suiting up, was a bad look, man. Him not suiting up for that game 2 against the Pacers. I'm telling you, this is Kenya Martin. When I watch Gil's Arenas, he's and it put a divide in the locker room. You had guys like Max Strus and guys like Ty Jerome and guys further down the line that say, "Yo, what's going on, Hunter?" At least Garland. See, I was criticizing Garland for not playing, but he suited up. He tried. The fact that you get into game 2, you're already down 1-0 against the Pacers, where you expect to beat. And you got 2 of your main guys not even suit up and try to do warm-ups. That put a bad taste in their mouth. So I think they got a culture issue because you won the 64 games to win a championship, man, bro. You cannot, things like that could really mess it up, man. So
yeah, I just think they kind of, which happened a lot these playoffs. I think they underestimated. A lot of, and we all real. And we all in understanding. That's why I say, like, I'm doing the way to her, and again, I stand on what I say. It is subject to change based on, obviously new information can bring new predictions. But those 10, I will go back and eat crow. Anybody, I'm glad that my prediction is on record. Because anybody outside of those 10 teams that I named make it to the conference finals, I'll be very surprised. But my conference finals will come from the 10 that I named. I got 10 teams that I think legitimately got a chance: Orlando, Detroit, Knicks, Cleveland, in the East, in the West. The top 6 that I named, that will be Dallas, OKC, obviously Detroit, Houston. OKC, Houston, Dallas. The 6th seed I had was Memphis. Memphis, I got missing the playoffs. Memphis, another team with culture problems. Yeah, Memphis, they were already trying to trade Triple J and they traded Bane, right? Hawks and Knicks in the playoff. I would let's keep it real. I would love to see him in the first round. I would love to sweep Trae Young in that first round. So I would root for the Hawks just so my Knicks can beat the shit out of Trae Young. Beat them in the series in Atlanta like we did back in '99. You know what I mean? That's gonna be a series, though. I think.
No, I would. What do you think, Knicks and Hawks? I think the Knicks would smack the shit out of the Hawks in the playoffs. Please, look. That's me being. That's me. I think we would beat them in 4 or 5 at most, and I would love to end the series on the Hawks floor. Let's keep it real, because they damn sure ain't getting out the first round. You can have the Hawks in the playoffs. Do you think that the Hawks are a second round team or a conference finals team? All right. Jalen Johnson would have to turn into the next Grant Hill right in front of our eyes, and then they would have to want to make it his team, because I think Trae Young is a bad leader. You know, look, a bunch of guys. He didn't get along with DeJounte Murray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who's that big now?
That big is gonna be Okongwu and KP. Pretty much. Oh, plus they got Richardson, who Mr. Richardson is all right. I've seen him go crazy on my Knicks, but a second year Frenchie, he's got about 4 years before he becomes a decent player. We probably one of the worst first round picks since first overall pick since. I'm not gonna go Kwame Brown. I'm not gonna diss Kwame Brown like that. Shout out to Kwame Brown. Well, he's already better than Anthony Bennett. So I'm taking Anthony Bennett out of there.
Was Wiseman number 1?
Who? Oh, Markelle. Who?
What's it?
Markelle Fultz injury. He had a freak injury. I'm gonna leave him alone.
I don't think.
I'm trying to think. So here's the thing. I'm comparing him to a guy who didn't have an injury. He was just a number 1 pick because, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want, like, Fultz with his injury, Bennett, that I'm not, just by default, he should have never been the number 1 pick. Who was that other? It's Wiggins. Wiggins turned out to be a decent player. If Richardson could be as good as Wiggins is like, especially when he was with the Warriors. Even with obviously Wiggins didn't live up to the LeBron James hype that he had. But hold on, let me think. You know what? Andrea Bargnani. I think he's the worst first round pick because there was nothing wrong with Andrea Bargnani. No injuries, no nothing. He was just ass. He was good offensively and so bad on defense. It's just bruh, that trade. I mean, look, we didn't trade much to get him, but Andrea Bargnani was just never like. It was crazy because they had Chris Bosh already, and they drafted Andrea Bargnani in 2006, right? He's the worst draft pick for number 1 pick draft picks probably since, and then he'll probably bet like he won't, because Andrea Bargnani was a legit 20-point scorer in the league. He just was the worst defender you ever seen, bro. Like at 7 foot, he was the worst 7. He got like 5 or 6 rebounds. Let me just look at Andrea Bargnani's career. I'm not gonna put it on screen. Y'all can do that yourselves. Andrea Bargnani. Oh boy, he did have he played 10 years in the league. His first year, he was a second and rookie. So, look, he at least averaged double digits every year. But see, his career high in rebounds was 6.2. He averaged a block 0.4 at one point. His best year was 21, 5 rebounds, 1.8, 0.7 blocks. He shot 44% from the field. And I understand he was a stretch 4. But a 7-footer that shoots 44% from the field, and he averaged 14.3, 4.6. Yeah, again, I think Richardson will be a better all-around player than Bargnani ever was, and that's why I think he'll be a better player. Again, he's about 2 or 3 years away from being a legit starter. So yeah, right. Richardson might be the worst first-round pick. Not considered. Excluding Anthony Bennett, who we know should have never been the first-round pick. If anything, is Giannis. Because I know Giannis was not 7 feet. He was 6'8" during that draft. He had another 4 inches to grow. But they should have drafted. They should have drafted if they knew that they should either drafted Oladipo or. But Anthony Bennett should have never been the first round pick, the number one overall pick. But he's without, and then Fultz with the injury. We never know what Fultz could have been. But the worst guy who never got injured, he was just ass. Andrea Bargnani. Bro, it took him 3 years to average 5 rebounds. Come on, man. I know he only got 24 minutes the first couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that one though. That was rough.
Yeah. Yeah, Kenyon Martin was because Kenyon Martin was such a great defender. Kenyon Martin was a great number 1 pick in a weak ass draft. 2000 is the weakest draft I've ever seen. Yeah, so many guys are like I'm gonna exclude Bennett and I'm gonna exclude Markelle Fultz. Olo County was another one who was just he never got injured. Greg Oden, another one, he got injured. 07, I'm gonna give him a pass. But Andrea Bargnani, no injuries, he just was not good. That's why I think of Reece Arze. So if y'all gonna tell me that Reece Arze is gonna make an impact next year, okay. I wouldn't mind being wrong, but Reece Arze is not gonna be Sarr is gonna be a better player than him. I already saw Sarr should have got rookie of the year. Rookie of the year, in my opinion. Who did they gave it to Castle, right?
Yeah, Castle was easily the rookie of the year.
I thought Sarr was playing very well at the end, but I ain't mad because know what? Castle was better all throughout the season. Sarr picked it up at the end of the season.
Yeah,
but Castle, if you go the whole season, he was playing better overall. So I ain't mad at that. But yeah, man. So you guys got a lot of good rookies down there, right? You got a lot of guys on your rookie deal.
Oh, I don't know where Roe went.
Well, what I like about what's going on in the league, good stuff, everybody, good stuff. What I like about what's going on in the league, man, is that when it comes to the draft, they're bringing in guys with an average of 2-3 years of college experience, just like in the decades past. So when you come, like you look at Benedict Mathurin, drafted by the Pacers a couple years ago. He came in his rookie year, he was dropping 16 a game as a wing guy, coming off the bench because he was ready to come in there because he kind of reminded me of Byron Scott the way he played, kind of Byron Scott type player.
Scott a better defender, but yeah, I can see that comparison.
Yeah, you plug him right in, man. He dropping 15, 16 a game as a rookie, man. It's like that's what it was back then, man. So you didn't have to be as angst. And every pick didn't work out back then. It was a lot of Derek Coleman. He had all the talent in the world. I think he was number 2 pick in the 90 draft. But he just never played up to his level that he could have. So you always get that in every
Coleman was the number 1 pick. Hey, JB, Coleman was the number 1 pick. Gary Payton was the number 2 pick of that draft.
Okay, that was was that the 90 draft?
The 90 draft. And then the next year, Larry Johnson was the 1 in 91, and the number 2 was Kenny Anderson. Man, put me on these drafts. I love going back and talk about
I remember Kenny Anderson come out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Special K. Because he been making appearances on All Ball TV. So shout out to my boys All Ball TV. They always get Kenny Anderson up there every now and then to combo.
He was a freaking phenom, man. I remember saw him play in they call it the 7-Up shootout classic, and I got to see him play in person. And the dude, he was in half court shots. Literally, he wasn't throwing, he wasn't heaving it, he was shooting it. It was going in. So. But man.
Was I too hard on Bargnani? Was I too hard on Bargnani?
No.
Okay. I'm just.
I couldn't believe he was the number 1 pick when I saw him play. So
Aldridge, I think, was the best player from that draft, 2006. I think Aldridge was. I know. Was that the year Brandon Roy got picked too?
Brandon Roy was he the next year or
was he 07? No, I think Brandon Roy was 06. I think he was.
Oh, so they got Aldridge and Roy in the same year?
Yeah, because yeah, you're right. You're right. They would have been. The Roy might have been 05.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, I remember them playing together, but I don't think they were drafted at the same time.
You know what? Again, I remember Aldridge was the Knicks. That was the Knicks pick number 2, but the Bulls picked Aldridge number 2, and then they traded him for Tyus Jones. So the players they love Tyrus Thomas, not Tyus Jones. Tyrus Thomas. Yeah,
let me see. He was.
Brandon Roy. What year did Brandon Roy? I think it was 05.
Yeah, he was 06.
06. Okay, yeah. So the Blazers wound up getting 2 picks. I guess they had 2 picks, right? Something like that.
2 picks. Yeah, that's crazy.
And they traded up to. I mean, they traded. The Bulls selected Aldridge, and they traded for Thomas because Tyrus Thomas was the 4th pick, and they traded. They swapped.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah. So remember the Blazers. Imagine if Dame would have got there with a healthy Brandon Roy. Boy, that Portland team would have been nuts.
Yeah, Roy.
Greg Oden. Greg Oden actually, he looked like he favored Bill Russell, and he played like Bill Russell.
Yes,
playing style just like
yes,
Bill Russell.
Did. They really said that was going to be the next Bill Russell.
Yep.
And unfortunately, with injury, him having one leg longer than the other, it was just it was not a good situation.
His first game was actually against the Lakers at Staples, and he injured his foot and missed the whole year.
I agree with Philip. I think he could have. Brandon Roy could have been the greatest Blazer of all time.
He had the game. Shit.
Roy was nice, but sometimes I know it's going to be because a lot of people love Roy. Roy was a cooker.
Yeah,
but sometimes I think y'all be over. Like, I mean, people saying him and Kobe would have been rivals. All right. He was nice.
I mean, I watched him play, man. He was
special. I'm not gonna lie, but sometimes I think it's overkill. That's just me.
Okay,
remember?
I feel you, but yeah, he was nice. Now he could.
It was special. I ain't gonna lie.
I just thought, man. I thought when the 07 draft, Portland had #1 pick. I said, I know y'all ain't gonna blow it like I did in '84. I said, I know y'all gonna get KD. KD was right there in their lap. KD, I remember coming out of college, they said he was an elite scorer, the best scorer in the nation. He was right there for you. Now I see why they got Sam Bowie, because they already had Clyde Drexler. But man, y'all can't. It's right there for you, and they drafted Greg Oden. I couldn't believe it. I said, man, they finished. I said, you can't believe KD.
Mm-hmm. All right. Look, there's no doubt that Roy was a talent, but sometimes y'all, I don't know. Look, that's me going against the grain there, because I know, again, I agree that Roy was special, but the way that it's almost like Len Bias too. And I was watching the Len Bias documentary. Shout out to Len Bias. RIP. But Len Bias had a lot. The good thing about Len Bias is his game was growing. Like, he was still getting better every year. Like, he could have, he could have been in a situation in Boston where you're learning from the great Larry Bird. You got a chance to take the load off of Bird's back. You could have been playing a lot of power forward. They could have moved Mikal back to the bench, or they could have done a lot of things with Boston, man. That's some of the greatest what ifs. We probably Thursday we'll get into some of these what ifs, because remember we were talking about the great hypotheticals, right? But these injury what ifs, you know what I'm saying? That might be another the injury and death, unfortunately, what ifs. We could talk a little bit about that, you know what I mean? But we'll see. I always wait to the day of to make my stream titles. So
yeah, I think Len Bias, man. Every time I think about it, I think that's still the most tragic. But Reggie Lewis was bad too, and then
Reggie Lewis, Drazen Petrovic, yep.
Drazen Petrovic, but that Len Bias, man, that was At least the other guys, I mean, they kind of got to play in the league, and he just never.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was
like days after the draft. Oh, you know, see, I was just looking at one thing we do a lot. When we talk about the late 80s, early 90s centers, we overlook one center who he wasn't a great all-around center. And you and CW, you might know who I'm talking about. Brad Daugherty.
Oh,
he was like his post game.
Yeah,
man. Brad Daugherty was a beast.
Oh, he got you 20. He got you 20, about 20 and 9 a game.
20 and 11, and he was silky smooth in that post, bro. He had a good 8-year career with Cleveland. By 93, 94, that back was just killing him.
Yeah, he was a centerpiece for that Cavs team.
Mm-hmm.
I got some of his.
And remember, he had to essentially retire after 94, and the Cavs had it they hired Mike Fratello, and they had to run a whole Win Baker's another. But Win Baker, we saw him be great, and then he just got his injuries caught up with him too. Another thing with Sean Kemp, man. But yeah, Brad Daugherty gave you 8 great years. So when we talk about great centers of the 90s, a lot of the time because he didn't get to realize his career.
Yeah, they don't talk about him much. But
yeah, because he played up until 94. He played that one. His last year was the year Jordan was playing baseball. You know, but Brad Daugherty was again. Jordan had to deal with that guy in the first round. That's his college teammate.
Yep, it's a Carolina boy. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we overlook when you talk about center competition. Remember, the centers. Look, there were so many center battles. There were so many center battles in that area. You know, again, I want y'all guys to understand, man. I really, Lamont, if you really want to be challenged, I know you go straight to the Detroit, but go look at Jordan versus those Cavs. That's when you saw the greatness of early Jordan, because he was going up against those Cavs teams that were centered around Brad Daugherty, his college teammates. You know, Brad Daugherty got drafted in 86, played in 94. He got 8 great years. He was a great player for 8 years. You know? And then, y'all all will say, oh, Craig Elo and Ron Harper. That team had Craig Elo, Mark Price, Ron Harper, and freaking Kevin Johnson. They couldn't even keep all these guys.
You almost forget KJ was on that team starting.
Yep. And they traded him after rookie year. Yep.
And Cleveland, Magic Johnson said Cleveland was going to be the team in the 90s. Magic Johnson said that. And they was a lot of people picked them to win the title in 89.
Thank you.
Detroit. And Jordan knocked him out he knocked him out in the first freaking round.
We're going to wrap it up soon because it's after midnight. But here. But yo, to our critics, right? We started by addressing our critics. You know, we know who the critics are. We know who the big main critic are. Shout out to FY. He probably was. I guess did he go on stream today? Because somebody was telling Zay had texted me, said that FYF is on some. Maybe he was watching it from last night. I don't know. But Zay texted me and said, Lamont is on his shit. Lamont is on one. But our critics, they say we don't talk basketball, right? We don't talk the current basketball. We started by addressing our critics. We went and we fulfilled the current league. We were talking about the current league, right? Then we went down memory lane, right? I was just, we segued into going down. Because I was talking about Richard-Zay, and this is what we started going down memory lane. Talking about Richard-Zay might be the worst first number 1 overall pick. You're not counting Anthony Bennett and not counting the guys that had injury issues. The guys just they just weren't good. Obviously, Anthony Bennett wasn't good, but Anthony Bennett should have never been a first round pick. Number 1 overall pick. And you could sit there and say maybe Bargnani should have been number 1 pick, but no, they expected Bargnani to be doing some good. I'm just saying that Richard-Zay is just, yeah. I've seen him play, and I've seen him actually put it on my Knicks, but I don't see him being a really good player at all. So that's just me. But we talk over here. We talk basketball over here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can say what y'all want, man. Y'all can say what y'all want, but we know what we doing over here, man.
And see, Ro, you see the thing about it, man. You like I said, I love the NBA, man. I love what these teams doing out here, man. And like I said, during the playoff, I had no qualms. Nothing. The officiating was pretty much on point. You saw some sound coaching strategy. Players who
the better team,
for the most part, and I had no issue. But you can always.
Well, I did have. I'll tell you what. I did have an issue with them not calling that double dribble on Halliburton before he hit that goddamn lucky ass fucking magnet ball shot.
Oh, yeah,
but only because I never before that I never saw them call double dribble, and then all of a sudden they didn't call that double dribble, and now they calling double dribble for the rest of the damn series. I call like double dribble 3 more times, but you know it is what it is. I ain't salty, but.
So yeah, you can enjoy you can love what's going on now, but you can still uphold the past at the same time.
Exactly, man.
You ain't got to trash the past. And while everybody was talking, I had my TV kind of turned down. I was watching highlights of the '83 final between the Sixers and Lakers. And I'm gonna tell you, man, that Dr. J was wicked, man. That Dr. J was wicked, and Moses Malone, the way he, as far as speed and tempo. Just the pace of the game, the way Mo Cheeks got the ball up and down the court, Andrew Toney and all them, man. In the grand scheme of things, there really is no difference. In the grand scheme of things, you got 5 players out there. They just didn't shoot threes like they do now. But other than that, man, I mean, you just got a new generation of players. That's why I say I don't compare errors about what you did when you played. And then from that point, by the time you retire, then you start talking about, rankings, where these players should be ranked. But as far as what's the greatest error, I don't think there is no greatest error. It's about what you did when you played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt, man. I respect all errors. I respect, it was certain issues that I had with the high school era. I thought, there was too many high school players coming in without the skill. And the NBA, the problem, it wasn't the gun. It was the fact that the NBA were not.
Oh, that was
players. Yeah.
Yeah, they was rushing guys in too quick.
They were rushing them in, and they were not developing. Like the league, the coaches were not, again, that's why I think they needed a middleman coach. They needed the college coaches to teach certain players the final points of the game. And I thought the overall, you had the overall.
That's why they brought forth the time it started off as the D League, which is now the G League. That's why they brought it forth.
So that's why I have the 2000. Again, I'm addressing the problem with 2000 errors, Lamont. The 2000, there were too many guys. See, the problem with 2000 errors. Kevin Garnett pretty much broke the mold, right? In '95, he was a can't miss talent. He had so much skill set that you didn't need college. Kobe didn't need college. T-Mac didn't need college. Jermaine O'Neal didn't need college. Even to a point, Al Harrington really didn't need college. I thought he could have went to school. He wanted to make it, but then it was the '99. Jonathan Bender needed college. Jonathan Bender was the 6th pick of the '99 draft. He needed college. 2000. I'm trying. Oh, Leon Smith. Those guys needed college. Those guys, if they didn't need college, they needed another year development before they got drafted. And that was the point. The high school era, okay, so now you go 2000, 2001, Kwame needed to go to school or at least to play in the G League. Tyson Chandler, he needed school. These were great talents, but they didn't learn how to play the post. And they weren't stretch five. They couldn't shoot the jump shot. Eddie Curry had the best post game of those 3 big men from 01, but he had no defensive ability. Kwame at least had the rebound, and he was a pretty decent defender. Tyson was a great defender, but Tyson had no offensive game. And so you started seeing guys that should be superstars, but they were just fringe role players. And that was the problem. So that's why you look from 06, that's when they changed the rule. The 06 class was had Oden, Curry, Westbrook eventually, right? Kevin Durant. Those guys had to go to one. That's when they started the one and done rule. But again, see, the NBA finally started realizing we needed a G League because you can't expect these guys to go from high school to pros. The can't misses. The Dwight Howard was a can't miss. Obviously, LeBron was a can't miss. Amari Stoudemire was a can't miss season 02. There's about 8 high school classes from that era. And that's why the quality of player, it went from a grown man's league to a little, everybody started making a jump too early. Even some of the guys, they started going out, when they were, the league was better when guys were going 3 or 4 years to school. Now, obviously, we don't want to give up that earning potential. I don't expect them to. But, now we got a better way of that's why the G League and the one and done rule has actually saved the league, in my opinion. So, I mean, you can say the 2000 era was close. And, I mean, but that, again, that's the only criticism I had, because you had players that were coming in and were expected to be franchise players that didn't have the franchise player skill set. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? People say Zion. No, Zion's another one. It was a can't miss talent, but god damn it, he just can't. Like, bro, he can still go out and drop 30 tomorrow. But you can't count on this dude to stay healthy because he's bad.
He needed another year of school. He needed another year. He needed that.
I'm a Duke fan. I disagree, JB. I'm a Duke fan. I would love for him to come back, but that wouldn't have helped him. What would help him is actually understanding the talent that he has and how he needs to keep his body in the right space.
Yep.
Nutrition exists. I'm sitting there like they got these Blue Apron and all these little food delivery services. Why are you going to Wendy's drive-thrus? You can eat all the Wendy's you want when you retire, Holmberg.
If he was on point, New Orleans, man, they could have made some noise. They could have made some noise because they were drafting some good young talent, and the framework was there. It's just he just wasn't available. And that's the franchise player. You ain't gonna do nothing like the franchise player.
Well, that's the thing is we sit there and talk about Zion. Zion could go out and get 30. Average 30. Come out the first half of the season averaging 30 points a game. He's still that good. But you cannot count on him to be healthy, and that's the problem.
That's what's killing him. Because Brandon Ingram got them to the playoffs the 2 times. While he was down there, he got them to the 2 times they went to the playoffs. He got them there. Just without Zion, they weren't gonna make no real push. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, big fact, man. But yeah, Zion has done things on that second. When I saw him in. They played some team from Canada in the exhibition, and I watched his second jump. You know how when you jump, and then you jump to the highest your ability as high as you can go, and then the rebound comes up, and he could just jump. He jumped from the free throw line, missed the layup. Jump back up, out jump 4 people, and slammed it home hard. Like, that is very hard to do, bro. You got to have some spring beyond springs to be able to jump from the free throw line and then beat 4 of the guys to the basket to the offensive rebound and dunk it before they even get up to that, bro.
Yeah, that's scary.
Zion was something else, man. Cooper, I like Cooper. He has a very good all-around game. You gotta remember when you watch Cooper, he's only 18 years old. Mostly everybody else in this draft is legit 19. He's still only 18 in a couple of months. So he won't be 19 until he'll make his NBA debut as 18-year-old. Where mostly everybody else will be 19. So that's Hembry, and he's an amazing all-around player, bro. I think he does a lot great and nothing. He's not a lead in anything. He's not the best athlete on the floor, but for his age, and again, he's gonna get stronger. He's gonna get bigger. He's gonna become a better. He can do a lot of things great. So that's what I like about Cooper Flag. And again, yeah, that's the thing. Right? He gives us Zion is still only 25. He can go out and average. This is a guy that can go out and average 30 points a game for whoever he plays for. But the question is when is he going to pull that hamstring, or when is he going to get an ankle sprain or something like that? You know, no doubt, man. But anybody got anything else?
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. You know, so C-Dub, man, we about to wrap up. Like I said, we the debates. When are you gonna post the one me and Sturdy did last night? Later on. Tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow. I look forward to watching, even though I hate sometimes I kind of hate looking at myself talk back, but I want to see how well I did and judge myself. Oh, somebody want to? Okay, if he gives you want to come on, I'll just drop the link real quick, and but we're gonna wrap up real after after you say what you got to say, real quick. Let me see. But I always, if anybody want to come up and talk, I always give them that chance. And okay, you good?
I was going to say real quick, bro.
Go ahead.
The free agency outside the first 2 days has been relatively quiet, but that's really the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. That's how it is. All the craziness went down. You got to keep watching Sham to see if anything else come down. I dropped the stream, but yeah, man. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. We'll be back on Thursday. Oh God willing, I expect to be back on Thursday. I'll come up with so we'll see but that's what we do, man. We just talk ball over here. We just talk sports over here. I even mentioned my Mets winning 7-6 tonight over the Orioles. Good to see we made a comeback. But yeah, man. So yeah, if anything, man, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Another good show. And I had to defend my name because they say, I don't even see you on the thing.
Yeah, I don't
say your mic ain't letting you add. Just click it and see, because they'll say your mic ain't adding, but you can come on and then fix it afterwards. But if it don't work, then yeah, definitely next time, man. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe, everybody, man. I really appreciate y'all guys watching. We just trying to grow over here. We just trying to give an honest opinion. No agendas. We not bought off yet. Not yet. And even I'll tell you what, I was thinking about that, man. I dream on one day Stephen A. Smith's, giving us a little whatever. But I would be one of these guys. I don't care who bought me off. I don't care who bought me off, who pays for us to stream or whatever. I'm going to always speak. I can't cap the motherfuckers. Can't cap, bro. That's not, you understand what I'm saying, JB?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You'll never buy my integrity, man. You will never make me say something I don't believe. That's one thing, 10 toes down. I say what I believe. You might not like it. Again, I might be completely wrong on my predictions. I'm not usually. I'm probably right about at least 80% of the time. But I'm gonna say what I believe, and that's just it. You're not gonna buy my opinion. Man, Shannon Sharpe go from talking about Jordan to Kobe is the GOAT. Kobe is the number 2, and LeBron. All of a sudden, Kobe ain't even in this top 10. Man, get the fuck out of here, man. You can't listen, bro. That's all I got to say about that. 10 toes down. What I say in 2025, I said in 2015, I said in 1995. I did not think the Bulls were a top 5 team in 1996. Okay? And I still believe that. That's just me. They gonna call me out, call me out.
That was tough, but we get it. Hey,
I'm telling you. Go back to Teenage Row. Teenage Row was criticizing that book. I thought the Bulls. See, here's the thing, right? Oh, real quick. I said the Bulls got better in '97. I think the Bulls were a better team in '97 than they were in '96. Now,
I remember they started their season off 12-0. I remember.
Yeah, and then I remember the Knicks playing them strong because somebody called me out on saying that the Knicks will come and burn them. Remember, the Knicks made major free agent acquisitions. We got Chris Child, a quick guard. We got Allen Houston. I think the Bulls would not have been able to handle us. Well, again, obviously we didn't get a chance. You put John Starks to the bench. We were better than the Bulls at a lot of aspects. But the Bulls were better in '97. Well, why don't you have them as your top? Well, first of all, that Bulls team is in my top 10-ish top 10. Being a better team doesn't make you a greater team. You understand what I'm saying? There's a difference between best and greatest. So the Bulls, being that they got the 72 wins, were a better team, were a greater team in 96. But the Bulls, I believe in 90, I think the Bulls, you got another team, that same team with another year's run. I thought they were better. They just didn't accomplish the 72 wins. So I still got the 72 Bulls higher, like in my greatest teams. I mean, in 97 Bulls in my greatest team, but I still got I said it back then. That's what I mean when I'm saying 10 toes down. You're not gonna buy my integrity. You're not gonna move me off my square. Period. And it's okay. It's not like I got them as 15. I think they were an all-time great team, but I still think there were weaknesses in it. I not argue that in the debate, but it's okay. I got the Celtics in my top 3. I think the Celtics were better, and I thought I made a good argument for that on Monday. We'll see what the audience thinks though.
We'll drop that tomorrow night around probably about 9 o'clock. So
no doubt. So tune in to the what's the official name? CW?
GOATcast podcast, and doing the GOAT debate. So
yeah, the GOAT debate. Tune into the GOAT debates, man. We cooking it up over there. Again, anybody wants to come down and debate. You definitely if you feel you're good at doing these debates. I'm a novice at it. I put my hat in the ring. I'm not I've never done these 5-minute round debates, but I do so let's see how it works out. And
definitely. Yeah. If you want to join in, let me know, because we'll add you in, and we film these things throughout the week. So definitely hop in.
No doubt, man. Thank you, JB. Thanks for showing up. You kind of surprised me. You didn't give me a yes or no whether you was off tonight. No, but I always want to have you, bro. So that's why I don't. Are you going to be working Thursday?
Yeah, I was off work tonight.
Oh, so you're gonna be working Thursday. All right. So
Thursday, I do think I work on Thursday. I got to see what my hours are.
Okay. So maybe you'll be able to come in at the end or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
All right. So thanks guys, man. Look, thanks for watching us. Thanks CW as always. I really appreciate you. And another good show.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. All right, fellas. Signing off.
All right. Y'all have a good one now.
All right.